You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast.
And the Board Game Rundown.
Podcast about how we game.
All of us.
All of us. All gaming.
All over the country tonight, Robert.
We are.
From
all the corners.
the tip of Florida, the appendage.
The tip?
That's us.
Okay, yeah.
All the way to the West Coast. The great state of Washington.
901.
We are the Beans and Dice podcast, Thursday Night Live call-in show. My DJ horn right there.
Yeah.
I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
I'm Mike. Oh, sorry. See, you cut in front of me again, man.
And with us tonight is the Board Game Rundown. Introduce yourselves, gentlemen.
That's right. I'm Tim, and with me as always, Mike. We're very excited to be here, guys. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We've been talking about it for like a long time. I finally got excited about doing the topic. So I threw one up to you guys. You were really awesome about it. And we were like, yes, let's make it happen. So tonight we're going to be talking about the perils and the perks of Kickstarter, right? It's on everybody's mind. Kickstarter is huge. I mean, it's bigger than ever, right? Yep. We were just listening. I was just listening to the Secret Cabal thing, about they just did an Express episode about Kickstarter. Board games is a huge part of that. And so anyways, I just thought it'd be fun to talk about that. I mean, we probably all mutually know other designers, publishers, things like that, people that have run Kickstarters for different things. So I love getting some of the insight on that and thought it would just be kind of fun to have this big open discussion with you guys, your callers, and see what everybody has to say about it.
I gotta say, you are a humble man. He's all like, "Oh, I'm so glad for the opportunity to be here." Right? We are glad to have you on,
Absolutely.
sir.
Oh, no way, man. No way. When Wayne's like, "Oh yeah, we do a call-in show." I'm like, "How the hell did they do a call-in show? That sounds amazing. I want to do a call-in show."
It is an awesome idea. I'm Mike. I've been doing content with Tim for about 2 years now. We've really only been friends for about 3 years now, but we realized really quick that we just had a lot in common and became really good friends really quick because of our love of sports and board games, and sometimes gambling on sports.
That happens.
I got the phone number for the anonymous line if you need some
Entire
assistance.
NFL does it. Why not you guys, right?
Exactly.
I was basically following Tim's lead tonight. I didn't have like specific points for tonight. It's definitely cool to be on someone's show. It's funny. We've been streaming for about 1.5 years now.
Nice.
Our channel's been kicking for 3 or 4 years. So Tim built up a really good subscriber base that we are humble to say recently hit 5,000 subs.
Nice.
And we
are
still
nice.
kind of in disbelief that has happened, and it's still
Congrats.
growing, and we're just loving the ride.
I'm
We'll give you a real DJ horn for that.
But it's funny, even though we stream our own show, I don't get nervous for that one. But coming on someone else's show,
I know it's different.
Tim, the heart's beating a little faster tonight.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's also funny because I streamed less than 24 hours ago, and I had a camera, and Wayne would vouch for that. I don't have one
I was
now
watching.
because for the first time ever, my boss said, "Hey, Mike, I need a camera for tomorrow," and I'm like, "Oh, I got you." Except the one I ordered didn't show up on time, but when boss lady says I need a camera, you show up with the damn camera. So I bought the one that I streamed with and then left it there. But when I say I'm going to stream, I'm going to stream. I'm here, fellas.
Well, we got your pretty mug on the avatar, so we can see your face there.
Now,
It's gonna
Mike,
work out great.
A cheesy
Mike-
thumbnail we've been using for a while. So
I know the people that watch the rundown want to know: Are you on a couch in a Snuggie, or are you sitting up at a table proper?
I am actually on the couch tonight. I use a laptop to run our show, and I have a couple different monitors, so I kind of move back and forth depending on where I feel like doing the thing. It's all just kind of for fun, and we enjoy doing it.
We've done that. We went with the couch.
We had the couch at one point.
Couch for a while. We had the couch on
I
screen.
want to see Wayne sit on that one behind him one of these times.
Oh, yeah, there's an idea.
From way back there. Wireless mic.
The reach. Or he's sitting next to it and he's offering advice to anybody that sits in it.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
No, but I can totally get it because when I first started calling into this show, I was nervous, and then coming on the show was nervous, and then I remember when I was on your guys' show at Thanksgiving, and just like waiting for my time to come on, just to be. You do like you get very comfortable in your own show or on this show as and then you do something new and you get like you lose your mind.
Jittery, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Right.
Well, what we do here and how we got connected is truly the phone call piece. And what we're going to do now is go ahead and open up the phone lines. 813-618-7099 is the number. The phone lines are open. And what we'll do is take your phone calls to talk about our topic, or you can tell us, you know what, I'm throwing away your questions and just bringing up my own. We allow you to do that. Substitute whatever topic you have. As long as it's in the geek/board game realm, we'll entertain it, have some fun with it. So, folks, call in. 813-618-7099 is the number. Let me go ahead and turn off the Do Not Disturb, unlike last week.
There you go. Hey, you remember this?
sending everybody direct to voicemail.
First hour, people couldn't get through. Yeah. Anyway.
So I think one way to start, I think, is just maybe each of us say like our experience with crowdfunding. I know.
Right. I was going to say establish your street cred.
Or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof, yeah.
It's almost like in court, right? The expert witnesses need to establish their credentials, right, so that the jury will understand where they come from. And I will tell you, I'll go first, because it's going to be quick and fast.
Yep.
I think like 2 Kickstarters in my life, 2. I know. Okay, so here's what I can think of. Kickstarter-wise, the Mayday board. The Mayday crocodile board.
Crocodile,
And then cards. It's a Cards Against Humanity style game, but meant for like Christian cards, I think it's called. And then a small Roman style abstract game. And that's it. Like, that's my Kickstarter experience. GameFound did the new redo of Castles of Burgundy, and the Mosaic expansion. So not the original, but the expansion. That's it. Like, Rob, I think you're right there with me.
No, I'm 1 for 1. Yeah, I've got one ever. So my only foray into the crowdfunding was the big one. I think Frosthaven. I was a huge fan of Gloomhaven. I bought Gloomhaven retail. Me and a couple of buddies. So took about 2 years to go through that from one end to the other. And then when Frosthaven got announced, I jumped on board on that one. But that's the only one I've ever done. So I know Carlos and I, when we were talking before, this is not our forte, but we know that the other 2 guys here that represent us, they're going to hold us up during this discussion. Wayne and Mike, both
no pressure,
are veterans of the crowdfunding. So we'll chime in as we can, but I imagine Mike and Wayne are going to carry a lot of the conversation on our end.
We'll be playing Trekking Through History while you guys talk.
While you talk. That's it for me.
I think I'm somewhere in the 75 to 80 range from 2016. I think was my earliest, and then I recently. I'm about to back a game tonight, probably.
It counts.
Ooh, which one?
The Cthulhu. The
Wayne. When you started to say it, I was
Express.
like, I'm backing that sucker.
Orient Express.
The Orient Express. Yeah, that game was good.
That looks really good.
And I did just back. I forget now what it was. A game last week. Oh, the Flashpoint Fire Rescue.
Legacy.
So yeah, those are the 2 most recent ones. And I'm looking forward to a couple. I have a couple more on there. So I'm in this 75 to 80 range, and it's probably about 7 or 8 years worth of backing. So that's where I'm at. Mike?
Nice. So I think my first back game was in 2017, and I just went through my list here, like I went through Kickstarter, GameFound, and BackerKit. There might be a couple of other odd ones in there, but I think I'm at like about 200.
Nice.
But I've slowed down considerably. I went through that. I think everybody's gone through that phase that are like big backers where you find out about it, you back everything, and then you kind of level off, and then you're like, I really need to slow down a little bit. And in my particular case, I slowed down because of my job situation, but then good, or it could be good or bad. I landed a really good job, good paying job. And then like I went off on this trajectory upward, and now I'm back to not because of my job, but just because I'm at this point where I don't have room. I've got a few Kickstarters that I'm waiting on. I'm still waiting on maybe about 10. And ever since I moved to Seattle, I've just significantly slowed down and started being a lot more picky, choosy about which ones I back. So I'm at about 200, and I've got a couple of non-board game, things kind of in there. A few of those in there as well.
Nice.
So yeah, go for it.
I'd probably right around 100, between 100 and 120. I think for me it was 2012, because first I backed. It's funny because Carlos was talking about some of the small games that he backed. Like this thing and that thing, and I still have it. It's somewhere over here. I probably haven't played it in 15 years, but or not 15, but 10 years or so. But it was called Laser Cat Attack. It was basically like some guy made a card game based off of the SNL sketch Laser Cats, where they're running around with cats. They just shoot lasers. Yep. It's don't stop now and go watch it, but like look it up later after the show. But then like right after that though, I found out about and backed Cthulhu Wars and went all in. That was hundreds of dollars.
I just watched your top 10 of 23, and that was your number one, wasn't it?
Oh my, yes. So the wonderful thing is that game ended up being everything I wanted it to be, awesome. Which is not always the case, right? With Kickstarters and stuff. But yeah, it similar to One Mike's story, right? Like, you find out about this stuff, you start to get all the FOMO, these amazing Kickstarters come out. There's all these stretch goals and exclusives, and it's like, I got to have all this stuff. So back tons and tons and tons of games. And then, we started having kids, and then it's like, well, I really like being married. I probably shouldn't back as many of these games as I want to. And then, and then the other side of it is we started doing content creation, and we started getting some games, so my purchasing is curbed off, except for like when I go to conventions, or if I've got friends or people that I know, like look, the companies that I know, like that I really want to support, like I'll just buy games from them because I want to, you show support with your dollars, right? I mean, we could talk about it also on the show and try to promote it as much, but I mean, the dollars is really where it matters. So yeah, I've kind of curbed off of like how much that I have backed and what I back. But like Wayne, that gosh dang, Cthulhu on the Orient Express. It's based off of a Call of Cthulhu RPG module. I was a Call of Cthulhu player back in the 90s, which is again why I found the Cthulhu Wars game, because it was designed by Sandy Peterson, who wrote a bunch of those. Yes.
More mansions, baby. More mansions.
So anyways, that's kind of my story. And I will say though, also, you guys, do not sell yourself short just because you've been frugal and wise and only backed a few projects, that you're really interested in. Because your opinions still matter, right? Your opinions, what your thoughts of and your perception, right? Because Kickstarter, I don't work for Kickstarter, but Kickstarter, they want to get people like you, right? Like, how do we get you guys to want to back games? The companies like CMON, right? How do they hook you?
By moving to Game Found.
Exactly. Over to Game Found.
Well, and that's something I'll bring up in a
we'll talk about
bit.
that for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, I think you guys are just, your opinions and your thoughts, man. They're just as valid, if not maybe more, than us that have been in it maybe too deep.
Yeah, because it's not about the stretch goals for me. It's about that stretch payment. Can I get the stretch payment, please?
For real, for real.
The Kmart layaway special.
For real.
Yeah. That Game Found feature where you can pay over time is a huge.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Some of these kids may not understand the reference of a Kmart layaway. They may not get that.
Layaway? Yeah. What's
Layaway?
Oh yeah. I remember putting Nintendo games on layaway. I'm old.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Well.
All right, I'll throw it to my co-host.
Mike, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I was looking. I'm a selective backer as well. I really don't like to jump at just everything I see. That's just my way of buying things in general, though. So board games became really no exception. But this was actually higher than I thought. I was at 45 backed Kickstarters. and 15 game found, so 66 back projects. My first one was a little game called Swords and Bagpipes. Nobody's heard of.
Nope.
It was this independent guy from Russia who did his own art and design on a kind of a hidden traitor game that was simulating the Scottish English War. And so you get some interesting theme in there.
Okay.
And I just
You just got Carlos's attention on that.
I've watched a lot of Braveheart, you know.
Yeah.
We got Robert the Bruce, the second
Bruce,
over here, or the third? Are you the third?
I'm the third.
He's the third. Robert Bruce the third over here. So the whole English-Scottish wars. I get that whole traitor aspect. Historically, it was accurate. His houses were flipping back and forth, trading on each other.
Yeah, it's got kind of that weird sort of if you're on the Scottish side, if you help the English, you have the potential to win. But if you have too much money that you gain from the English, you can't win. It's unique. I'm not saying it's that great.
It's a great idea, though, and theme-wise, he's kind of connecting it. Like, you can't come out too rich after the English win, because then the people will hate you.
Correct. The theme is really what drew me in. It's got this sort of cool chibi art style.
Oh, now you lost me.
Oh,
what the hell?
Yeah, it's weird. When I'm looking at this, it's got these big-headed. Yeah, it's a weird mixture now that I'm looking at it here on the other screen. Here.
Mel Gibson as a chibi. What the hell?
Pretty wild. I'll send you the link of this, like the main page of it. But yeah, as Tim was saying, I don't know if he fully alluded to, and like, we don't like to brag about anything, but an opportunity we get on the channel is because of all the reviews that Tim did before I got on the show. We've had a great opportunity to do a lot of Kickstarter preview videos with independent publishers. And so we've established quite a few relationships with these guys that continually offer us games and even ask us for advice on
that's I can't wrap my brain around that. Like, even as you're saying it, I'm like,
I'm not
dumb.
trying
Why
to.
would they ask us?
I know. I'm honestly. Why would they ask us? Because we've done a lot of videos on quite a few games. Like, if I actually put a number on it, and again, it's just like quantifying it. Again, not bragging. It's just, Tim, I've probably done 40 or 50 of them myself, and you're quadruple that.
Yeah.
You know. We've worked with quite a few of them.
It's just weird to think about it like that.
It is, but it gives you a very different perspective of what is happening behind the scenes that gets that project to your shelf years before it gets to your shelf. All the hard work and sweat and tears that like a tiny little family business puts into getting that game on your shelf. There's
sometimes,
a lot that goes
and then there's Queen Games.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Well, you mean overcharging for reprints?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think that's sort of where like I kind of got turned off of crowdfunding a little bit in the last couple of years. Not so much. There's the whole bloat thing, right? Where every Kickstarter has to be bigger than the last with more stuff. And then you get some games that are good games, but just have too many things shoved into it. An example would be Endless Winter, right? Just too much, right? But I think my problem was all the big companies coming in, and I'm like, Queen Games, really? Do they really need to go to crowdfunding to sell these games? And I mean, I don't necessarily know the economics of it, but they're losing 5% or 10% to Kickstarter. But why don't they just set up a P500 system? Right, where you can just order direct through their website. I don't understand why they continue to go to crowdfunding, and I feel like that kind of drowns out some of the lesser known products. Right, like Mike and I did a podcast last week where I talked about my favorite Kickstarter of all time. It was Clans of Caledonia. That was one dude, right, with his own company.
Yes.
And that's one of the best games. It's literally one of the top 50 games on BGG.
And I think it's coming back, right?
Coming back. He's got an expansion coming out this year and a reprint. But like games like that are drowned out now by the big companies, and that kind of turned me off because I like the idea of finding those diamonds in the rough, right? But that's
I would love to meet somebody from Queen Games and just hear about why, like, there's got to be a reason. You know what I mean? Like, for whatever reason, they've set up their production model, to make money. They have set up their business to effectively use Kickstarter as like a pre-order platform, because all of those, to Queen Games' credit, right? They've never had a Kickstarter not fill, and they do usually fill within like 6 months, because it's really just how many copies do we need to order from the manufacturer? Everything's already done. The art's already done. The rules, the games are already made, essentially, right? Everything that normally happens once somebody in their garage makes a game and they're like, yes, this is my prototype. And then if we fund, this is what the art's going to look like. And I'm going to get all these components. Queen has already done all of that. And that's why their turnaround is so fast, right? Because it's like, boom, boom, boom. The files are already off to the printer. We've seen the proofs. We just say, yes,
but see,
start them up.
Queen is not the only one that has done all of that, right? I call this the Dollar General factor, right? So Queen Games, they make games, they set up games, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know what they have to really get outsiders in for? It's that marketing and that spread of word. But you know who already put the Dollar General there? You ever see a Dollar General go up anywhere? If you ever see a brand new Dollar General go up anywhere, give it a year or two, you're going to find a Walmart, you're going to find a Starbucks, you're going to find all kinds of businesses, because everyone knows that Dollar General is mapping out where communities are going to be built, where the people will be. You will find that. So what? Simon, they're on Kickstarter. They've already done the legwork. They're going to put their advertising out. They're going to get people to come to Kickstarter, right? And then what are those people going to do? They're going to go and look around. What else is on here? This Marvel game that got my attention because I like Spider-Man has got me to this website. Ooh, there are other games. Oh, look at this Queen game. That looks cool. That's because someone else has did the work. And I think to them, it's probably worth. What's the cut, Wayne, on a Kickstarter?
I think, depending on the contract they have with, it's usually 5 to 10%. Is
right, 5 to 10% of your dollars as your marketing budget. Boom, you're done.
Straight there. Yeah.
You didn't have to hire nobody.
But then you look at Jamie Stegmaier. He did his first 1 or 2 games on there, and then how he's got the pre-order system through his own website. Right, he's got his own. He does his own marketing. It's like a team of like 3 or 4 people.
Well, that's because he grew up in the Catholic Church and he grew up tithing his 10% the whole time. He's like, I'm done giving you my 10%.
Yeah,
I'm doing this on my own.
I'm just saying, we've seen other companies do it, right? And then they leave and do their own thing. So it's just always weird when a big company either sticks with the platform or comes to the platform after the fact, like kind of crazy.
It's got to have to do with the number of the eyes on it. I mean, you've got content creators now, or even Major Dice Tower has crowd surfing every week, where all they do is highlight games that are coming to GameFound or Kickstarter or whatever. And so, like we're saying, I mean, the advertising, the number of eyes that you have on it, number of people that you have talking about it just because it's on GameFound or on Kickstarter or whatever. I mean, it's advertising, yeah.
And
maybe
Oh, go on. Go on.
I was just going to say, just kind of comment on the Queen's Games thing is, maybe their retail sales are not that great. Maybe they don't have these mom and pop stores that are ordering new copies of Merlin or whatever it may be, where maybe they're relying on Kickstarter. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing. Like maybe they're relying on Kickstarter to make those big orders that are large enough to actually produce like another run of whatever game that they need to or feel they need to run. So
yeah, it could be. It could be. I mean, a lot of times, right? People will run, like Last Light just did this on GameFound, right? They just ran another crowdfunding to basically print a second edition. Now, right. I will keep my sources quiet, but I know that they did not make money on that game, the first print run, because of the production stuff and some production issues that they had. Even though that GameFound campaign was very successful, right? Like from the outside.
Yeah.
From the outside,
right.
We look at that and go, "Holy smokes!" Like $1 million. Well, it's not like what's his name, Roy, got that $1 million and put it right in his pocket. Like that's not what happens. That's not how it works. And I know a lot of people, I shouldn't say this. I will say it appears that a lot of people feel like that's how it works, based on their comments on people's Kickstarter campaigns,
Sure.
Especially the ones that take longer. But yeah, I think Queen clearly has something built into their business model where it's like, hey, we're going to use this as a pre-order system. Kickstarter clearly loves it because it's exactly what you said. It brings people in Because while you're poking around, the first thing you do when you go to Kickstarter is it's like projects we love, right? Or the most successful ones right now, the hot ones, the ones that got all the traction. And then you got to search for the one you're actually looking for most of the time, at least for me. But yeah, you've already been hit with at least 3 or 4 other potential Kickstarters that you might want to back. But the thing is like Kickstarter just recently, within the last couple of months, I mean, they put out a call to try to hire somebody to help them with the board game side of their industry. Because once Simon said, hey, we're going to GameFound, Kickstarter was like, wait a minute.
It was a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Because they have been like taking it for granted. They've been kind of ignoring it. And they're saying, because there's all these very big epic flops right now that are happening, right? Mythic Games being one of them.
Oh yeah.
And it's like everybody's really mad, and Kickstarter's like, you know what the deal is.
It's a risk. Yeah.
It's a risk. And to be fair, it is, but they have been very flippant about how they've handled stuff. And once Simon left, they had sort of unfortunately a light bulb, go off, and a lot of, corporations, I work for one, my day job, sometimes they are more reactive than proactive, where everybody else is like, well, you could have seen the writing on the wall. You see how you treat, either smaller publishers, and things like that. Of course. And
I think it runs deeper than that as well. I mean, I definitely think that's part of it, but I think another reason, that I think GameFound is more successful right now, or getting more successful quicker, is because if you look at the tools that they have on their website, as far as how backers interact with each other, just the comment system alone, where you can create hashtags and then search on those hashtags, and the way that it's laid out, where you can just jump to a specific section of whatever, founding that, that's going on. It's laid out so clean, and it obviously it's targeted for board games. And I mean, I think I said this on a show, I don't know, a number of weeks ago, where, like you said, Kickstarter was just kind of like resting on their laurels because we're so big we can't fail.
Yeah. Yep.
But if you look at what is their biggest, area that is making them the most money, board games. I mean, that's their highest selling area.
Yes.
And they just kind of rested on their laurels, like, we're too big to fail. Where's Simon going to go? They're going to go to GameFound?
Yeah.
Whoops.
I think that's what's funny. And from what we know, I've always complained, and Mike, you're with me, is the user interface from our perspective as backers in Kickstarter is crap, right? It hasn't been updated forever.
It's improved from where it came from,
got a little bit better,
it still needs a long way to go, in my opinion.
And then I know I've listened to other shows where people from the industry, like game producers, are on, and especially like Lance Meister from Gray Fox, and them on his Alaboom, where they talk about how horrible the customer service is behind the scenes for like people who are making the product. So I think not only were they resting their laurels on, they just let both sides of the fence just like, we're fine. And they did something similar with video games too. I mean, when Kickstarter made its big inroads and became a big thing, it was mostly from video games initially. And they had 1 million video games that were making millions of dollars. And then they all started failing, right? It was bam, 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 bam. And there's a ton of video games that raised millions of dollars and are just never going to deliver, right? And I think that's sort of, people started pulling back from the video games on crowdfunding, and then board gaming took over. And now we're starting to see some uptick in those failures in board games.
I got a thought on those dynamics too, but I want to hear from Mike Rice. I know he's been quietly in the corner. We can't see his face. Mike Rice, any thoughts on the refocus of Kickstarter into the board game area? I guess from the couch he's saying no, ain't got no thoughts.
Or he was muted and forgot.
On mute, yeah.
He probably said a whole bunch of pearls of wisdom. Now they're all gone.
Well, no, it's interesting. The uptick that you're seeing in the companies that are failing are the ones that are raising tons of money. It's not the ones that are using the platform because they have to. The ones that are raising $20,000-$30,000 are typically delivering. Is the interesting part. It's some of these companies that have over bloated their games that they have misestimated how much it will take to manufacture them and ship them back here, and they have zero business experience whatsoever. They're just a really good mind with a great idea and maybe also excellent designers.
And some of them are big companies, though. Like you said, with
Yeah.
Mythic Games,
Yeah.
and you hit the nail on the head. It was exactly what I was going to say. Is that these huge games that, I mean, it takes a crap ton of money to make these games and produce them, and then you got to think about all the game play testing, and I mean, just that alone. I mean, that's mind-boggling to me. And like you said, I think they just kind of outgrew, like their eyes were bigger than what their stomach was, basically.
Yeah, this is why I've always, in a sense, been wary of bloat, because I feel like if we've got a bunch of stuff, but we don't actually have a good game, all we're doing is generating money, but no experience for the person playing the game.
Right.
And that typically seems to be the kind of projects that are failing. And I think the perspective that I've gained by, again, helping indie publishers is that, bloat scares me because I've actually been in sales for almost 25 years, and but wait, there's more. I just see that from a mile away. And I'm always wary of it because I've trained people on those routines. I know what those routines are what they're designed to do. They're designed to generate money. And that doesn't mean the game's any good. You may have excellent marketing, you may have awesome minis, but if your game's not any good, I don't see why I should care about it. And you can tell there's a lot of games that are capitalizing on bloating the game with tons of plastic, and they haven't developed the game hardly at all. And you're seeing tons of that, and people are drawn to it. And I think it's crazy to be drawn to plastic when the game isn't even there. And so that concept, that tactic, I've always really been annoyed by, because I don't like being closed as a salesman, and being closed when I can see it coming and I know, it just bothers me. And that's what more companies are latching on to, is this wait, there's more tactic, and here's another mini, here's another expansion. Yeah, but did you play test any of those? If you haven't, just I'm done.
But Mike, if I don't get that Spider-Man 2099 alternative sculpt mini, dude, I'm just not even going to be able to sleep. Come on, man.
Doesn't work. I
need it.
How many times are you going to get that expansion out of the box on top of that? Hey, you can drop, you got $600 worth of plastic and cardboard. You open the first box twice, and then the other 4 boxes have sat there for a year and a half. Like, what are we doing?
So it's funny you say this, Mike,
to me as a consumer.
Because I've had Cthulhu Wars for 10 years, right? I got my copy in 2014.
The shit out of that game, Tim. I know you have.
I have, but guess what? I still haven't played all the expansions. I still haven't.
Sure.
So I'm just making your point. I do.
I know you will.
I mean, I'll get around to it eventually, but I mean, your point is correct, though. That was a company that, Peterson Games, for example, they actually had to have Catalyst take over their distribution and their publishing because they were struggling.
Call coming in.
We got a call in here. Caller, state your name. Where are you calling from?
This is Ron from Atlanta.
Hey, Ron Fraser. How are you?
My man.
I'm doing good. Like, I just turned on the show and you guys are ranting about the whole, plastic overbloated, under play tested board game thing.
That was me.
I felt on top of all of that, which, I 100% agree, on top of all of that, we have so many board games that are coming out, right? Like, you only have so much time to play those board games.
Yes.
Like, what are the chances are you going to be able to play all of that content?
Yeah. Well, not with an attitude like that, you won't.
Try harder.
Hey, Carlos, you shouldn't be. Carlos, the man trying to.
Is that the pot calling the kettle brown?
Definitely.
but you know, you guys are right. Like the board game publishers and designers that need to do better in that department. You know, some of my favorite games don't have any plastic minis at all. They don't have minis. They're just cards. Obviously, they're preying on the toy factor, right? Like, you know, we're adults now. We have disposable income. You know, we might have trashed those toys as a kid, and you know, there's a part of our psyche that wants to, you know, have these toys as adults, and you know, really cherish them more than we could as a child. I mean, some kids are good with toys, right? But most of us, we destroyed our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's that aspect, and you know.
Let me ask you something, Ron. Do you your games that have minis? Do you paint them?
Let me see here. How many games do I have painted? One.
Out of how many?
One game painted. 90-ish.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
I have 100.
and I only ask the question because I'm trying to look at the flip side of the coin, where you know, heavy painters out there that prefer games because of the minis, because they enjoy the painting side of it, maybe more than the actual gameplay. Like I know Wayne and I love setting up games, like opening up a box and punching everything and getting it sorted. That's so therapeutic for me.
Same.
It's almost better than the game itself sometimes.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
feeling.
So just to kind of look at the flip side of the coin, you may have those people out there that they want the games to paint the minis. You know,
that's
so
an
they're
interesting thought.
more
That's a
they're
very
more
good-
drawn to that, you know, than the actual gameplay of it. And I'm just playing devil's advocate. I agree with you.
But that's an accurate piece, which also
Yeah.
ties into Ron. Okay, so Tim, Mike, if y'all don't know, Ron from Ron Talks Tabletop out of Atlanta, Georgia, or I call it Hotlanta. He does tabletop, like RPG focused
Oh, right
content.
man.
We've met him at Dice Tower Retreat, Dice Tower.
East, yeah.
Cool guy. But he's more RPG focused. And what it kind of touches on for you, Ron, is also that secondary market. Because of the blow up of Critical Role and the RPG world, all those minis, those extra minis that these folks are buying on these Kickstarters, they're painting them and then putting them on eBay as individual sales for your RPG character. What do you need? A lizard man with a spike? I got him. Oh, you need a lizard man with an axe? I got him. So everybody can have their character, right?
Well, it's true. It's true. You know, and you know, part of me, there's a whole like corner of YouTube that's all about getting lots of cheap minis. And these board games, man, you know, publishers put them out. They don't sell well. They deeply discount them, and then folks like me and my hobby will grab those games up and just for the minis.
I tell you, I've never backed a single CMON game, right? But
Just
there's
multiple. Just
Are you
multiple.
serious?
never one. I've never backed
my
a CMON
gosh.
game. Never.
Wow.
I've like been an anti CMON guy, right? But I tell you what, I was this close to pulling the trigger on everything for the zombie western, right?
Oh yeah.
Aren't
yeah.
you glad you didn't?
No, I wanted it for the minis to play in Deadlands.
Oh.
When
I
my
love
wife and
Deadlands.
Yeah,
Oh,
my
yeah.
wife and I play Deadlands, and she GMs Deadlands games. I almost bought it for the minis, just for the RPG game. Not even I didn't even care about the zombie side, whatever. I just wanted the figures, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. I whatever. But yeah, that's a valid point. Is
Wayne, as an aside, if I ever get a chance to play role playing games with you and your lovely wife, I would love to play some Deadlands. Just saying. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I was about to say there's a whole like a materialism factor, right? Like we just want deep down inside there's this need for more, want to have more, right? Like we want to have the best selection, however we define that, right? We want to have as much cool stuff as we can get our hands get our hands on. Oh, that looks cool. Like, wouldn't that look cool on the shelf? Wouldn't that look cool on the table?
I'm making up. I'm making up because I didn't have a daddy. I got to buy toys.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous. What some of these companies do, and they know that they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so we had a lot of Perils conversation, right, guys? Like all 6 of us here. 8?
Oh, yeah.
We got a lot of us. Ron, start turning us towards the light side of the conversation as we come towards the top of the hour. Any positives? What do we call them? Perks? Is that what the title is? Perks.
Yeah, perils and perks.
Any perks to the Kickstarter crowdsourcing world, Ron?
Perks? Well, there are games that would not exist were it not for Kickstarter.
There you go.
100%.
That's it.
Number one.
Yeah, I mean, yep. You just have the guy, the Chris Graffiti, right?
Scafidi,
yeah.
Friend of the show?
Friend of the show, Chris Graffiti. He uses crowdfunding to get his games out there, but he had such small print runs. So what printer would print his game? It would just be prohibitively expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Just guys like that. I mean, of course, Simon and other companies use it, but just on the positive side, it's great for the little guy to get their games out there, and then you never know what'll happen. Gloomhaven.
Isaac Childress.
Robert's cousin.
Yeah, my
Childress.
Purdue grad, boiler up.
Oh, there you go.
Let's go. Yeah. He didn't know that Gloomhaven was going to be the phenomenon that it was.
Yeah.
Right.
So he'd already had a game out there. But like, we don't have Gloomhaven. If we don't have Kickstarter. Obviously, Stegmeyer and Stonemeyer Games have used it to build their company.
Yeah.
I don't think he doesn't use it anymore, but there are lots of positive examples.
Absolutely. And Ron, if you don't mind, I wanted to add, there's going to be another Isaac Childress because of one of these 2 websites. That's the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
It's not the last one.
Yeah, when you think of it,
There's gonna be plenty more.
Seth LaFrere Games, Garfield Games, Stonemeyer Games. You could probably think of, there's probably 5 or 6 that I'm not even thinking of.
Mhm.
Those companies might not exist if they didn't start or get their first big break on Kickstarter. And look at all the games that those companies have now produced,
Yeah.
since then. So I think that's a huge perk of that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I guess I came in at a part of the conversation that was I felt particularly passionate about.
Sure.
Good. That's why
You came in at the right
wanted you to
time,
call
man.
in.
Hey, I'm
Yeah.
glad it was my rant that got you passionate, Ron. I appreciate it.
I bet Mike Rice even sat up on the couch for a moment.
Leaned into the no camera.
I didn't recline for a couple seconds, actually.
Oh, okay.
Get the whole sit up like you're losing in Madden.
But yeah, crowdfunding has done a lot of good. And I say crowdfunding in general because Kickstarter's not the only.
Where can the crowd at home, Ron, find out more about what you're up to, gaming that you've been doing, and your shows? Tell the folks at home.
Well, I am Ron Talks Tabletop on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Instagram is mainly board game content. By the way, I pop up on the Dice Tower channel from time to time. Board Game Breakfast, Favorite Game Friday. My YouTube channel is mainly RPG content, but there's crossover in both avenues mainly. So.
All right, Mr. Frazier, we do appreciate you.
Good to hear from you as always.
Nice to meet you, man.
Thank you.
Ron, we're
Likewise.
co-streaming this on our channel, Board Game Rundown. So all of those folks have that info as well. Oh, you just got a new sub, man. Appreciate the call.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good night, Ron.
Good night, Ron.
Good night.
Take it easy.
That's our buddy Ron Frazier out of Hotlanta. So the phone lines are back open again, 813-618-7099. I want to thank Ron Frazier for reminding you all at home that this is a call-in show, like ultimately. I know the majority of board game content consumers are used to the one direction right, of content consumption. This is not it. Like, this is a two-way street. It can't be a call-in show if you don't call in. So please call in 813-618-7099. This is a call out to the Board Game Rundown audience and the Beans and Dice audience. Anyone call in. And if you're calling in between shows, leave a voicemail. Might pull it up on the show. I don't know. Feeling cute. I wanted to touch back a little bit on what Wayne and what Mike had touched on, because I think this article affirms your positions. Mike, you talked about Kickstarter's shift, right? Their internal shift into the board gaming aspect of their business, right? Wayne, you talked about the differences, the money that they're making off the board game compared to like the other products, right? Embracer Group had an article came out because of their CEO this week was caught on a webcast. Wingsfer, English is not my first language. Guy's name's Wingsfer, CEO of Embracer Group, called Asmodee the jewel in its holdings, right? So Embracer Group is an entertainment company, huge entertainment company, video games, media, and then this little side company that does board games, right? Because they pared down, I think, was it 25% cuts in workforce across all of Embracer Group, right? Asmodee has 2,500 employees. They only lost 82. They were only scheduled to lose 82 employees. Look at the prioritization that Embracer Group proactively put into their board game side, where, Mike, you're right, had Kickstarter seen the writing on the wall, maybe Simon wouldn't have gone over to GameFound.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they would have.
No, well, sort of like what one Mike was saying about GameFound being so much more user friendly. Honestly, the thing that has saved my wallet from GameFound is the fact that it's not an app on my phone. I have to physically go to a browser to find it. Unlike Kickstarter, right? Kickstarter's got the app.
Good point.
That's dangerous. You're sitting somewhere. I used to be a propane delivery driver. And I can tell you, man, you're filling up a big old propane tank. You got nothing to do. You flip through your phone. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, what's on Kickstarter?
Isn't there like a little picture? Isn't there like a little picture? No phone
near this.
Like when I put my gas, it says no phone.
Just don't smoke. Just don't smoke. You don't get those phones that spark. You're good.
The no phone thing, man. That's a fallacy.
What saved me is I pull up Kickstarter all the time, but I always forget to go to GameFound. Like like my brain is trained to go to Kickstarter.
It is.
They have to be working on an
easier.
app.
It's more accessible.
It is. And the GameFound stuff though gets me on Facebook though, because like I've almost several times like gotten season 2 and 3 of Final Girl where they're like, pay over time, click here now. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm pretty ignorant on the whole topic, but I was playing Frosthaven last night with Nick Oben from our group. He mentioned he probably was not going to be able to call in tonight, so I'm going to bring this topic up for him. And again, those of you who know can probably chime in on it more. But I told him we were going to have this discussion tonight because he's a big Kickstarter guy. He's done hundreds of them, and so this was right up his alley. But again, he had some dinner plans, some things tonight anyway. But we were talking about it, and I said, yeah, we're going to talk about the perils and the shift that seems to be going on right now from Kickstarter to GameFound. And he was kind of blown away by that. He's like, really? He goes, why is there a shift for the consumer? He said, I find Kickstarter to be so much better. He said, GameFound drives me to their website for everything. He goes, when I back something on Kickstarter, I get emails directly to me with updates. If I do something on GameFound, I have to go to GameFound's site. I've got to do 4 different clicks to get into where I got to go to review these email updates and review this information. He said, everything drives me back to GameFound. He goes, I'm not particularly a huge fan of their site. He said, I prefer Kickstarter by far. And he said, it blows me away that people would say that it's a better experience on GameFound as a consumer than it is on Kickstarter. And again, I know very little. I've never played with GameFound at all. I've dabbled in Kickstarter a little bit, just kind of surfing around looking at stuff. But those of you who know, I mean, is Nick on point there, or is that crazy?
That is annoying. I will agree with him. Okay. That is annoying. but I'll let somebody else.
Yeah, I was going to say touching on the email thing. So like whenever somebody puts out an update and Kickstarter, they'll send you the entire update in the email, and you can always click on the title and then go to Kickstarter and then you can comment on, that particular update or whatever. GameFound will basically just kind of say, hey, there's an update, and they'll give you an image, like maybe the main image for that thing that's going on right then, but they won't give you the entire. I mean, granted, I'm OCD. I like a clean inbox. I'm clicking all those titles, just popping up new tabs in my browser and deleting the emails anyway. Even if it's a Kickstarter one, I'm still doing that. That's just, I know I'm like a very small percentage of person that would do something like that.
I envy your ability to do that.
So, but in my opinion, is GameFound best at everything? No. Do they have the ability to make the changes that's a simple fix where you can just go into your user settings and tick a box that says, I want the entire update of my email instead of, an abbreviated version of it. But I do agree with them. That part of it is probably not the best. And I personally would prefer Kickstarter over that one thing alone.
So I'm getting some comments from on our side. I think Wayne's seeing them on the board game rundown side.
Awesome.
So one of our friends said that GameFound has some fun things to play with as a creator, but Kickstarter is starting to add some stuff to help with that, like a menu on the left. Right? Okay, you got him. You can pull it.
There you go. Cool.
There you
This
go.
is this
Right
is
on.
pretty cool. This simultaneous stream.
Yeah, you'll
We're
get that
crossing
little
streams,
link.
baby.
Don't
We're
cross
crossing
the streams.
streams.
Yeah, and Chris is a designer. He's worked.
He was on
some
for
games.
with
He's-
you 4 hours last night.
Oh
You
my
guys
God,
put
he
me to
was.
bed.
You're
Y'all
welcome.
put me to sleep.
You're welcome.
In a good way.
The best way.
Doing your taxes during the show. We forgot.
Yeah, no
I'm,
doubt.
I'm holding the baby, and I'm listening to y'all. Next thing I'm out. I woke
Well,
up for
thanks
a
for
second.
even listening, man.
Dwellings of Eldervale. Let's go. What are we talking about now? And then back to sleep. But
Yeah.
4 hours with Christian Strain. That was insane.
If I
we've
can
gone
break
longer.
it down, if I can break it down to something really simplistic, and it's just what was nodded to as the user interface of Kickstarter, it's very easy to find new projects and back them. And the simplicity alone, I think, lends itself to the demographic of people that are actually buying those games, which tend to be people in their 40s and 50s, and therefore that easy access to the completing the process of purchasing the game, I think capitalizes on its on that.
Well,
I think I think I agree, because I go to Kickstarter and I go board games, right, and then I sort by popularity, what's the most popular, and then I sort by newest, and I look at the first 20 of each, and nothing. Okay, I'll come back tomorrow, right?
right.
I go to GameFound and I'm like, oh God, it's a in backing or live or late pledge, or there's more kind of things you have to do. At least I just haven't used the site enough maybe to know all the quick hitting things, but
Just so much easier to get
yeah,
into
it's Kickstarter is easier to just sort and done.
And
yeah.
some people just want to get it done. Hey, I know what I want. Don't send me 50 updates. I already know what I want. Tell me what I want from the very beginning, so I know what I'm spending my money on. Don't add crap later that I didn't know was available 2 weeks ago when I made up my mind. I just want to get it done. There's a lot of people that are like that, and it capitalizes on the demographic of people that buy a lot of board games.
Now, here's a question though: has GameFound, to my knowledge, hasn't had a game not fill yet, right? Everything that is funded on GameFound has been. I haven't heard of a game
that is delivered.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
like
I
seen
think
to
you're
completion.
correct. Yeah.
So
Right.
far, as I am aware of, every GameFound project has been seen to completion. So
It's
far.
also a lot more selective, it seems, right? They're
Yes.
like just I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I can't call up GameFound today and be like, I want to put my game about movie industry on your platform, but Kickstarter be like, sure, let's go ahead and do it.
Because I've got a friend that's a smaller publisher, right? And he just had a very successful campaign for a second game. And they, I did ask him about GameFound. He's like, I can't get on there yet. And it's like, okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So there's some hurdles to, yeah.
But maybe after his this game, fills, it should be going out soon. Maybe then he'll have enough cred, to get there. But then maybe Kickstarter will have caught up by the time he's ready to do his next game. And then maybe he's not, it's hard saying, right? It's a lot of maybes. The fun thing for us is we are all sort of industry adjacent, right? We're all just like fans, of the industry. So we're kind of going off of, what we see, what we can read, and, some of the people that we may get to talk to, but
right.
I still think, and this is sort of the unpopular opinion, is I still think with Kickstarter, like, it's a lot of buyer beware, man. I mean, if you back it, if I put hundreds of dollars into my Cthulhu Wars pledge and they say, yep, we're going to make the game, and they take that money, well, now I just wait, and you hope that it funds, but it's kind of like gambling. I mean, you're making an investment, you're investing your money, you're hoping to get the return. Now, I think it's unfair for people to immediately like take to the comments and go, this person ripped me off and they're a crook and they don't, blah, blah, blah. Like, most of the time they're just bad business people. They're brilliant game designers, bad business people. I would say, in my opinion, the most of the time it is probably, poor management. These aren't people that are running away with your money. Cause honestly, that money's spent. Usually that money has already been paid, is getting paid for if it's got minis, it's paying for the tooling. If they using, they got art, they're paying for the art, and then production costs heap up. They didn't actually value, or set their funding level correctly. And everybody may or may not know this, but there's really two funding levels. There's the number they put on there that they want to get hit quickly. And then there's the real number,
Right.
And and if they're
a
not
whole discussion there, but yeah.
Well, because I need to make that number to hit really low. Because I need that number to hit within 24 hours so that I can add that blurb to my, we funded in 24 hours.
Mhm.
Yep.
But if you don't join in, I won't have enough money to make this thing.
Yeah. Christian had a comment there on the Board Game Rundown where he said that they're more involved in the creation process, and which can be they're Christian, are you talking about GameFound?
I'm pretty sure you're talking about GameFound.
GameFound. That's interesting that because they were a board game kind of company only.
They
right?
they were Awakened Realms, and
It's
then
Awakened Realms. Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting that they're kind of meddling in other companies' projects.
But I think part of that is what the full Jackie Robinson said, full 42, says also there's discounts to creators for using GameFound over Kickstarter, right? So, hey, I'm going to give you, right, I'm going to get into your stuff. I'm going to make some decisions about what you're going to be able to put on here, but you're going to get some savings, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you some discounts for certain creators, but they're going to be selective. I think they're trying to protect their brand as GameFound, right?
I think they are.
Tim, you talked about not recognizing or recalling any failed game founds. Once that starts to happen and impacts their brand, then they're just another Kickstarter.
Right. You're right. And so they're probably, I would assume, very precious with who they accept and curate and make sure to curate those projects. So now then that makes the question you need to ask, should Kickstarter be doing that? Because Kickstarter is kind of the Wild
they're
West.
like the Asian flea market, right, over on Fowler
and manpower.
The Wild West, yeah.
It's you get what you get. You go in and good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought a bunch of bootleg DVDs out of the back of this dude's car, right?
Yeah, right,
so
like that.
half of them play. Maybe some of them got subtitles or somebody snoring next to you.
They're
that differentiation.
they're the health inspectors of backing stuff that's just too much to monitor. They don't have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
And I also don't think they have the desire to, though.
Right.
I really don't.
I don't think so either.
Because there's a difference there.
I think they're relying on their terms. Their terms of service or whatever it may be. It's like, hey, you knew what you were getting into. We say it at the end before you even check out. This is not, you're not buying it like off a shelf. You're taking a risk that this may not deliver. And I think that's just like, well, hey, you should have known that was not going to be something that was going to fulfill. That's on you. I do think that they kind of take that approach to it.
And to be fair, though, sometimes they're right. Okay, like so. Let's
Totally agree.
like
I've
Mythic
had this
Games-
argument many times.
Mythic
I
Games. The
think
writing has been on the wall for Mythic Games for years now. Please continue. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. Carlos and I got into this a while ago where I was trying to make he was like, well, it's like an Amazon or whatever that you're buying games on there. I'm like, no, you're not buying games. You're buying the chance of getting it first. You're helping this company out. There's no guarantee you're going to get anything off of this,
Right.
And as sad as it is, as long as the company, in my opinion, I think, as long as the company is saying, yeah, we've been working on it, but you know what? We ran out of money. So sorry. There's nothing you can do about it. There's
Nothing.
nothing.
I totally agree there. I think because I've had so far in my 70 campaigns, I've had one game that has basically just done, right? It's not ever going to come. It's not ever going to get made. And the most annoying part of that is just no communication, right?
Sure,
They just
sure.
ghosted it, right? And so like, I don't, if the company came and said, hey, shipping went up, right? Or production went up during the pandemic, or like, we tried, we couldn't get it done. Here's all the files, right? For free or whatever. Like if I'm folded, I'm walking away from this project, give the people that back something anything, even if it's just communication. Like I think the biggest problem with the one game that I have that's never going to fulfill is they just walked away 2 years ago, and there's been literally nothing posted for 2 years to the campaign. If they literally just came out and said, guys, here's the thing, we ran out of the money, it's just never going to happen. Here's the files, or here's the rules that we had created, and so you go create a fan made thing or something. I'm sure there'd be still a ton of people pissed off, but there'd be also a good chunk of us that go, okay, I know going
closure.
Closure to it, and I know that anything on Kickstarter that I do, I may never get, right? Mm-hmm. So if I don't get it, that's great, but the communication to me is the worst part of it. When they just ghost you, that really annoys.
Well, and I know personally some people that have ran Kickstarters, and they're like, I know they're working on the game because I can shoot them a message and be like, hey, where's this at? How's it coming along? Oh yeah, it's pretty good. Like no news yet, like just kind of waiting on stuff, but they don't put out an update because they don't feel like they have anything to say. And it's hard to get some of those people to sometimes realize that update, hey, nothing new, just checking in, but things are plugging along.
You have no idea how much that means to people.
It goes so
legitimately
far.
go a long way.
I try to get that into my employees' heads. I lead a team, and I'm like, look, just call them and tell them you got nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you they will appreciate that way more than hearing nothing. Just tell them you got nothing, you're still working on it.
Absolutely.
We got some shout outs in the chats here. Steven NBO, who recently joined our Discord.
New board order.
He says he had 133 backed on Kickstarter and 3 backed on GameFound. So he
wow,
blew me
nice.
out of the water. And then Pablo Jackie Robinson, also another Jackie Robinson, says 90 backed in 6 years for me. Drastic downsizing in the last 2 years because of no space in my apartment and barely, dodging a few mythic level disappointments.
Yeah.
No doubt, man. No,
It's
doubt.
like that. I keep hearing about this. I haven't experienced it yet, but I keep hearing about this dollar backing. Like it was like the best dollar you ever spent because you didn't go all in.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just kind of watched it and it never fulfilled.
Well, and the other thing, now here's like a weird thing on like Kickstarter psychology that makes no sense to me. Because if the game doesn't fund, right? If they ask for $1,000 and that game gets $999, you don't lose any money. You don't spend any money because they didn't fund. But what I don't understand is that people don't want to back a game that's not funded yet. It's like, why wouldn't you back the game so that it can fund, and then more people? Because I don't know that if I see that a game has 1 million backers or it has 100 backers influences my decision personally. Like I'm usually like, oh, sweet, I hope this game funds. I'd really like to be able to play it. But that is a legit mentality, and that's a really weird. To me, it's weird. It's because I can't wrap my brain around it.
There's like a lemming mentality amongst the backers, where it's like, I don't want to be the first, but I will jump over that cliff at the same. If we're all going to the same time together, it's like,
this actually reminds me. So I work at an auto auction, so I'm very used to facilitating a sale between two other people. And it's funny because nobody ever wants to be the first bidder. But as soon as there's money, everybody's in. Wait a minute. Look at all these other people bidding on this car. Oh, wait,
Right.
I can't. So it's interesting how that actually is a psychology that, like you mentioned, Tim.
That's that FOMO. As soon as somebody wants something, I want it too. Yeah.
I think go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Mike.
Oh no. I just, to tie it back to, facilitating, I also understand an as is sale between two other commodities. So the person and the creator, hey, we're just organizing this thing. As Kickstarter, we're just facilitating this. This is an as is sale, and we've got a policy that covers us in the event of a sale not working out or a title not showing up.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
But I wanted to go back real fast if I could, because GameFound already has pretty big advantages that were mentioned, like the pay-as-you-go feature is an advantage. Vetting creators is an advantage. The lingo of I'm leery of Kickstarter. People say Kickstarter. They don't say GameFound.
It's the Kleenex of crowdfunding. Everybody.
That's
it is.
when
It really
GameFound
is.
masters the ease of access, like Kickstarter did, by providing an app that you access on your mobile device. It's over. GameFound will shift things massively, I believe, at that point. The faster they get an app going, the faster the shift to their platform will be for board game consumers.
Now,
I agree.
No, that's an awesome point, Mike. And it's just funny because Chris Strain just put up another comment. He says it's like when you work at a counter and you put a couple of your own bucks in the jar to get tips started.
Exactly.
As a former bartender, 100% do that. I put a 5, a 10, and a bunch of ones in there.
Somebody needs change and they don't want to break that 20, so they're going to ask you and you'd be like, "Oh, just go ahead, we can make the change."
Yeah. But then they also see like, "Oh, dang, somebody tipped that dude $10," and I'm just like, "Yeah, they did."
Also, the hotline is open. It's 813-618-7099.
Yeah, Mike.
If you're on the board game rundown,
He acting like he's an amateur. He's like, Tim leads this thing. He's a quick learner.
Well, so if you're somebody like Chris or Mike, maybe
we need some phone calls from the board game rundown show from the BGR
I
group. We need a phone call from that area.
Mike from the Full 42. 952 Kickstarter campaigns.
Crazy.
Lord, man, do you have
does
he have like a train car in his backyard that all the games are stored in, one of the boxcar things or something?
I think he keeps it at the convention hall that he runs QSCon in, man. He's got his whole life.
There you go.
Wayne, it's funny, we're on the show because Wayne was a regular viewer of ours, and that's how we learned about you guys. Wayne, I don't know if you remember old regular viewer Jason Dunham, who used to watch the show all the time. He said he had a storage unit of opportunity. This man has a storage unit, and there are hundreds of games in it.
That's
we got a call coming in. Let's see what this is.
Yes.
Beans and Dice podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Jim Cole from Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah.
Fort Worth, Texas, representing.
Jim's the man.
For the next 10 minutes, Jim, the show is yours. You are the host. Lead the way.
I don't know about that. I'm just I called because Tim told me I had to, and Tim's always right.
The
Thank you for
power of
calling.
suggestion. So, what are your thoughts on backing games and such?
Well, I threw my first game up on Kickstarter, and now that it's fully funded, it's up on GameFound. So I'm in on both. I did Kickstarter just because, as you guys mentioned, it has the brand recognition, even though it has some of the negative recognition. It still has the recognition for people that aren't gamers, which was a chunk of what I was bringing into my project. So
lots of eyeballs,
that way. So but for the future, maybe the next game will go on. Just start fully on GameFound.
And what benefit do you see moving over to game? Like, you as I'm assuming, and I apologize, I don't know exactly who you are. I'm assuming you develop games in some capacity. What have you seen as far as the back end of it? What's the benefit of one over the other? Like, what does GameFound offer that Kickstarter doesn't, and vice versa?
Sure. Well, like I said, mine was already funded, but putting it up there, taking pre-orders, advantages is it definitely costs you less than Kickstarter. They take a lot less of a chunk. You get paid right away, which if you're a person that can't manage money, it's the worst idea ever. No, there's 100, the people that you can't budget and you can't put the money aside for the project. Oh God, that's the worst thing ever. So, but the tax tools and stuff like that, if you're going full legal and you're sticking to all the proper tax codes is there, because, if you got to fight with your accountant with Kickstarter, because people back you, it takes the money and it doesn't care where the hell they are sitting when they do that. So,
physical location of the customer.
Yep. And when your accountant's like, well, where are they in Texas? And you're like, I don't know for another 6 to 8 months, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
Yikes.
So, yeah, so there's that. But I don't
That's
know.
a
I
big
guess I just
deal.
ignore it like everybody else does.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jim, don't be humble. Tell everybody your game. I think everybody
Yeah.
Fill us
you
in,
called
man.
in, man.
Oh,
Tell everybody
okay.
go
Plug
look
it.
at it, man. Don't be humble.
The show's yours.
It's called Zombie Survival Infection. It's obviously it's a zombie game, but where mine kind of differs from most of the others is I tried to really stick to zombie movies. The theme behind them, as you might know, is the terrible things that people do to each other in a terrible situation is, just as important to their survival as what the zombies do to them. So it's kind of like The Walking Dead, where you have a camp, you control this camp of people, and you guys will fight amongst each other as well as, fight with the other camps and fight against the zombies. And you'll make friends with somebody at a table, and then when it no longer benefits you, you will turn on them and, make them your enemy. And it's fun. It's pretty much a good game for people that don't get butthurt and like to, screw their friends over and then laugh about it after.
And Jim did all the art.
Nice.
Yeah.
This art is slick,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, Wayne's got it pulled up here if you're not watching, but we're scrolling through the Kickstarter page. We're seeing some of it here.
Wait a minute. I saw custom vans.
Whoa.
Yep. Yeah.
What's up with those shoes, dude? That's, oh man. How come I didn't know about this earlier?
That is
Where
the
were you,
first
man?
that I've seen on crowdfunding.
Oh, they got the skateboard thing. This
they
is
got
like right
skateboard
out of
decks.
Seattle. This is like all perfect Seattle type stuff here, man. It's great.
So, Jim, how possible do you think this would have been without Kickstarter?
Without Kickstarter, I was also picked as a project they love, and I got a pretty decent push from that. I also work. My 9-to-5 job is a nerd job as well. I work at Arknight and Mimic Dice, so I push it out on their channels
Mimic
as
Dice.
well. So, but like just the projects we love, I think netted me, I don't know, probably about maybe 10%. No, a little more, like 15% of my total funding.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it wasn't without it. I also did Jill Up for a bit, and I got some serious opinions about that.
Okay.
Yeah, but in doing Kickstarters through the 9-to-5 job and working with them, I learned that the marketing you pay, you literally make no money. Unless it goes really bonkers and you hit a certain margin with your production costs, like what you pay is going to be what you make, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was just like, well, I don't feel like paying into this that deep just to make it look bigger. I'm gonna build a fan base, and maybe the next project I'll do that with. Having a bigger base to start is a big push. That's kind of my idea. Which is
sometimes
also,
it's getting that first one out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's that bucket list piece that check the box. Like, I put a product into the world for other people to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. No, it was last year was my bucket list year. I kind of checked them all off. I had a published module through Arknight. Years ago, I had my art in like White Wolf games and stuff like that. So the only thing I had left was a D&D adventure and a board game. So I checked them all off.
Nice.
Sweet.
Don't kick the bucket now.
Yeah.
Get a new one. Just get a
What you
new
need
one.
to do is go buy
Delivery.
some miniatures and keep them unpainted. As long as you have unpainted miniatures,
Yeah, you're okay.
you're
I'm
not
gonna
done on
live
this earth.
forever. I'm gonna
Yes.
live forever.
Yeah, I got like 5.
Don't finish
Yeah, I
them.
got
Uh-oh.
Yep. Oh, my eyes don't allow that.
Well,
We got to get you more plastic, Jim, because I need you to keep making games, man. So
Okay. All right. Well,
Well, we appreciate you
I'm-
representing the Board Game Rundown fan base.
yes.
So it's official.
course.
Board Game Rundown had their first call-in show with a caller from their show.
hey yo,
oh, of course. No, these guys are great, and they're always entertaining as hell. So-
I mean, we try.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Jim, you're the man. Stay metal. Horns, buddy.
Oh yeah.
Wait for the
Give him the
super
horn.
flash.
Wait, come on, it's
Come
gonna
on.
happen.
There it is.
It's like the only reason to have an iPhone.
Hand
There you
gestures.
go.
And I'm lazy. It does what I need it to do. I don't have to
Oh, there it is.
program anything.
Hey, we thank you so much for your call. Check us out,
Sure.
Beans and Dice Podcast. We do stupid shit too. Wait, is it after
Yeah.
10?
After
It's after
After
10.
Yeah, you
We're
can
good.
take that. Good.
Oh, we can loosen up a bit.
I'm in.
It was good to hear your voice, Jim. Thanks for calling, man. I appreciate it.
Good night.
Good night, Jim.
All right, we got a BGR caller. Check that box.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So-
so the one problem with his game on GameFound, no sneakers.
Right.
A little
Probably
bummed
don't.
on that.
If I didn't let that happen. Hey, guess what though? I know a guy might be able to help you out. Get you a line on them sneakers.
Oh, all right. That sounds slick.
There you go.
No,
That's
but
a
this,
stretch goal I've never seen before.
Yeah.
That's cool.
but like that, like Jim, right? That's an example of like just on a little side tangent real quick. Like a wonderful thing about just being lucky to be able to do a show like this is before Gen Con, he had put out a thing, was like, hey, looking for content creators, anybody want to look at my game? And I was like, this art looks amazing. Like, I don't know what this game is, but this art looks fantastic. So I was like, let's check it out. And then he found us at Gen Con and then we started chatting him up, and like I just felt like we became fast friends,
Nice.
and that's the thing I love about this hobby, Kickstarter or not, right? Is like everybody's so cool. I mean, 99% of everybody's so cool. There you go. The vans will be on the expansion.
Nice.
But Jim's one of those guys, right? Like sometimes I got questions about Kickstarter. It's like I could reach out to Jim and be like, okay, so like, what's your 2 cents? What do you think? You've been through it, And
Those are the kind of folks that we've really enjoyed having on this show.
Yeah.
Some of our best interviews have been folks who are self-published designers who've gone through the
Yeah.
process, and we have those conversations about take me from beginning to end. Like, how did it go for you? Where did you get stuck? What were the and then the
What do you
folks
do different next time? Yeah.
the folks call in and ask them like specific
It's
questions
so
about,
nice.
well, how'd you research that topic? I
Yeah.
love connecting my audience.
Oh, yeah.
Like on the phone. I had Stegmeyer join us at one point.
I'm
Jamie,
so
and
jealous.
He took phone calls from
Oh, yeah,
people to
yeah.
talk about games.
He's
all
the
time.
nicest freaking
Oh,
dude.
he is so
He's
nice.
too
He
nice.
is.
Yeah.
And his cookies are really yummy.
Another caller.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Chester from Tennessee.
Our
Hey,
man Chester.
How you doing?
Doing good. You guys talking about some conspiracy theories? Very fast.
Get your tin hat on.
Yeah.
I've got a conspiracy theory, but go ahead.
Anyway, so yeah, Kickstarter, GameFound, Indiegogo, is that a thing anymore?
I think that's dead. Is that dead?
Is it completely dead now?
I don't know.
Board games.
Still
For board
kind of
games,
going.
it
There
is.
you go.
I got my tin
If you
hat on
listen
real quick.
to the Secret Cabal Express episode, they talked about Indiegogo, and I didn't realize that Indiegogo was a thing only because Kickstarter at the time did not do international. They were not able to do international orders.
Yeah.
They only were U.S. So Indiegogo was where you went if you were on Canada, Australia, or any other world places that aren't. Listen, I don't know geography, but those places, if they needed to order, they went to Indiegogo.
Well, and I also thought Indiegogo, and I'm prepared to be wrong on this, took your money no matter what. Like if you pledged on Indiegogo, that money's gone. Unlike
Oh,
Kickstarter.
wow.
Yeah,
I
there
could
was
be
something where, like
wrong.
even if it didn't fund
I-
or if it failed funding, there was a percentage of the money
Yeah,
taken
yeah,
anyway
yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I
seem
never-
to recall that.
I saw that one time like 10 years ago, and I never went back to Indiegogo ever again. Because I was like, at least Kickstarter, I could, put a couple bucks down and, I can get it back.
Well, Chester, on this Cthulhu monster I have here in my hands, show me where crowd surfing or crowdsourcing hurt you.
Repeat the Cthulhu monster question, caller.
I got a Cthulhu monster doll. Point to it and show me where Kickstarter hurt you.
Well, he hurt me right in the feels.
Right. And Chester, you
No,
bring up a
but-
valid point on that because we talked about it a little earlier with the Kickstarters that end up either being crappy or don't fund. It's the feels,
Yeah.
right? Because you get these newer folks that get into gaming. And Chester, I believe you called before. You were newer into the gaming hobby, if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember the Chester that I spoke to.
Oh, you wrong.
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm thinking of
Yeah.
Chester
Yeah.
out in Chester. We work with Chester. No?
Go- Yeah, you're wrong.
Okay.
It's cool. Yeah. I mean, look, Carlos, you got the board game rundown, and one guy's laid back on the couch.
But luckily, he's got his camera off.
Wait, how
that's-
would he know that?
You know,
For-
I mean,
Look out your window, Mike Rice.
yeah, I backed a crowdfunding project one time, and I'm still waiting on it. But I believe in the project and what the creator has in mind for the end result. But I'm not going to go into specifics. But yeah, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and it got me thinking. It got me thinking, guys, about refrigerator magnets.
Take us down the path.
I'm trying to.
Let's go. I'm ready for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Think about it.
Where are we going, Chester?
When your friends and family find out you're into something, next thing you know, any kind of silly holiday or special quote-unquote occasion occurs, you're getting pig magnets for your refrigerator or something like that. So,
Right. If they know you
my-
collect shot glasses anytime they go anywhere, they're going to bring you
Here's
one.
a shot glass. I found this shot glass.
No,
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel you, Chester, because
Oh, yeah.
I have a Amazon wish list full of board games, right? And what I learned like 4 or 5 years ago was I need to the games, like when you add stuff to an Amazon wish list, it goes to the top, right? You have to reorder it. And so one Christmas I got a bunch of board games, and it was all the board games that were the top of the list. And they weren't really the games I necessarily wanted. They were just ones I was thinking about. So I threw them on my wish list. And I'm like, oh damn, I didn't want that game. I wanted the game at the bottom of the list. So now I really have to. I know that all my friends and family are going to go to my Amazon wish list, and I got to make sure that the games I really want are at the top of the list. And if it's one, I created a secret one that I just throw all the expansions and stuff on for. But I ended up with games that I have never played. Like I was like, oh, that game sucks. I'm never going to play it. It's just sitting on my shelf, So yeah, I feel it. Yeah.
That's how you
Family
end up with games like this, where it's like, I'm into board games. Why did you get me this game?
Autocomplete.
Oh yeah, like one of my buddies who tried to get me know your meme, which
Oh
ugh.
God.
Oh, God.
But then accidentally gave me new phone who dis, which times six.
So,
Gave you
so
what?
show me on the Cthulhu where new phone who dis hurt
Yeah.
you. Show me on the
It's
Cthulhu.
new phone who dis. So
Now,
it
Chester,
shows
sounds like
you-
you're talking from experience here. What kind of gifts have you received
Tell us your
from
refrigerator
family
magnets.
because they found out you were into games? Like, give us an example.
Oh, yeah, I've got all the wingspan. I haven't bought a single wingspan anything.
I see
You can
no
do
problem
worse.
here so
You
You
far.
can do worse.
but I've got everything.
Oh, he's got it twice now.
Yeah. He's got
Now you've got
white-
gifts for other people next year. You're good.
There you go.
Oh wow!
No,
Make a trade.
no, you gotta watch the birds. I mean, we all know birds aren't real, but you gotta watch them.
That's why they're on the power lines, because they're recharging their battees. That's why they sit on power lines. They're all there to surveil
right.
us.
True.
Nobody believes me.
10 hats.
Watching and judging.
I've been telling you people.
Put my tin hat back on.
There you go. 10 hats back on.
That's right.
Tin hat back
Judging.
on. I'm ready.
Oh,
This is the judgment.
but anyway, what I was getting to was a loved one of mine recently gifted me a board game. It's called Earth.
Good game.
And so I was like, oh, yeah, I've heard all kinds of good things about this, and I'm setting it up, going through the rule book. I'm at page 5.
There was- there was-
I was looking at don't judge me, man.
I'm just trying to stay caught up. I'm trying to stay caught up. Page 5. All right, we're all on the same page now.
Yeah, I'm only on page 5, whatever. So I was looking at the back of the box lid, and I looked and I saw it was like, and thanks to all the original backers, and in very faint letters, which my very nearsighted eyes cannot see, are the names of all the backers. So, I mean, what is that worth to you? That's my question.
I mean, it was cool to me the first time it happened, but after that, I don't really care that much personally about
How much
that specific part.
Does anybody know how much it would have cost to back to get your name in the book? Because I know they have different levels to do that, right?
Some campaigns, and I don't know about that one specifically, but some campaigns just automatically, hey,
All the backers, yeah.
all the backers,
Yeah.
right? My Cthulhu Wars box, I got my name on it because when you lift up the box lid on the base, the bottom box, all the side of it is the sides all the way around are all the backers, real fine print. Like Chester's saying, you can't see it, but you know it's there.
Gives you a little sense of pride.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I like to go
Yeah.
find my name every once in a while. Like,
I mean,
hey, I did that.
it's cool. It's cool. I'm not trying to poo-poo on it, but
It ain't the
But
reason
yeah.
I back though, like I don't
Right.
back for that reason, obviously.
I'll tell you what it's kind of worth, because Robert and I don't Kickstart, but you know what Rob did a lot of? He play tested.
You need to stop lying,
Okay,
Carlos.
often. We'll use the word often. Don't Kickstart.
He likes to
Often.
advertise that he doesn't kickstart. But
Often.
Yeah, he
Asterisk.
doesn't play solo games either, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Often. But Rob did a lot of play testing,
Yeah,
and we spent a lot of time having to play multiple games using our own print and play components. We had to print out and clip
Yeah,
just so that you can get your name inside of Century Spice Road's box, right?
Well, it was supposed to be in the box, but then they decided to go digital. So now it's on a website, not on the actual box. But yeah,
Oh, that's a bummer.
yeah. it
But
kinda
that
sucked.
was worth hours and hours and hours of
Yeah.
our time play testing,
Yeah.
getting rule changes, providing feedback for weeks.
It was fun the first few times. Yeah.
Yes. So it's not. It may be not worth it anymore.
Yeah, maybe not.
I never played the Gollum edition. I
That's-
played the Spice Road and Eastern Wonders.
Yep.
Was it?
Or Easter, was that it? Yeah, it was Eastern something, yeah.
That was the pickup and delivery,
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
I played both of those, and I played them together, but I never played the third one.
That's the only one. The Gollum edition is the only one that exists for me. Everything else
Same.
doesn't exist.
Same.
That was a rabbit hole.
Are
What is it on this show?
are hexes with the curved edges like Century Eastern Wonders the worst hexes ever?
Oh, yeah.
They
Yeah.
always shift.
Yep.
They never go back together.
Chester, we appreciate your phone call. We thank you for joining with us in our conspiracy theories. We tip our tin hats to you, and hope to see you on the show again soon.
I appreciate it, fellas. And me and the big hairy man standing behind me, forcing me to call you guys, aka Sasquatch. Appreciate y'all too.
Awesome. Representing Tennessee.
I'm just glad Sasquatch lives out in Tennessee. We know where he's
There
at.
you go. Yeah.
Oh,
He's in
yeah.
the Pacific
Well,
Northwest. man.
we call him a wild man, but anyway, appreciate you guys. Yeah, thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, Chester. Have a
Thanks,
good
Chester.
night.
Bye.
Yeah, man.
Nice
thanks for
talking
the
to you,
call.
And
man.
I'm sorry about
yeah.
those volunteers.
Oh, too soon.
Oh,
too
boy.
soon.
Yeah, we got the skunk ape here in Florida. That's
Oh,
our-
A
yeah.
Florida man.
Florida man. Yeah, Florida man is his own thing.
You gotta
Phone
watch
lines open.
those,
813-618-7099 is the number.
Have any of you ever been like, so we talked about like getting your name in the rule book, but like those like crazy sketch goals where you can like $1,000 and your name will be on the card, or has anyone even
Oh,
like,
I had my face on a card.
did you?
Yeah.
Oh, look at you.
It didn't cost that much, and the funny thing is when I did it, I think the game was it's Shadow Network is the name of the game.
Oh,
Same-
great game.
Great.
Talent Strike
Yeah,
Studios.
it's a very
Really
good
good
game.
game.
Yeah. So
You're on a card.
I-
Our buddy Bob is on. One of our co-hosts is on a card in that game.
Oh, very
Everybody's
cool.
on
Yeah.
that game, yeah.
So I mean, the game was like $60 to back, and I think it was $79 to get your face on one of the cards or something like that. The funny thing is when I initially did it, I was going to put Carlos's face on one of the
just
cards
as a
without
prank?
telling him.
Yeah.
I was going to do it without telling him, but then they said, no, we need, like, you have to dress up in like gumshoe,
Oh,
like,
right.
that type of look
And
to you.
I don't own a suit.
Right, and you needed like 3 positions of your face so that they would be able to pick the one that they wanted. And I was like, oh man, I so want. And then the funny thing is I wanted Carlos to be in the game and then play the game with him before he even knew about it.
Let him realize
And then when he looks
deal
down,
on that
like
card. Yeah.
that was the whole point of me trying to do that, but then I wasn't able to do that. So so I ended up putting my.
I've
own
never
face
heard
in
that story. That is hilarious.
I've never told anybody. This is the first time I've ever told
Look at
anybody
that.
about this.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I would
That's
imagine like
awesome.
Mike trying to trick me to like, hey, no, we're just a costume party at your turn this week. Everybody has to dress up like a detective. Okay.
So it's funny you say that. So I've never paid, the amount to get into a game, but just this last year, we did kind of get up the guts to start asking people that we're friends with if we could like find a way to get into their game, like the show, like Board Game Rundown guys. Get
Oh,
into
cool.
And Mike, I don't know if you can bring it up, Rice, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
See if Mike can find it real quick.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
we
we'll
need
add it to the stream.
and I'll put it in the Discord chat we have, Carlos.
Okay.
Yeah, I grab it.
Yeah,
Thank you,
give me
Wayne,
a sec.
my engineer.
but I felt like
I got you,
it's so weird. Like, even again, I know we've got 5,000 subscribers. I still feel like we got 100, if that, right? And I feel like they're all related to me. You know what I mean? Like thanks,
Yeah.
Mom, for subbing.
You're welcome
so-
for those work phone subs, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. But it's really
What you
weird.
don't know is you got like 5 devices running in the room watching this show.
So we do.
It felt really weird and like too big of an ask to do this. But then after we did it, I was kind of like, I kind of want to do that again. Because that was super fun. When you see what happened when it comes through, I was just so excited with how it came out. Oh, I saw it just popped up in the Discord.
Yep.
So I mean, it kind of also made me probably more willing to pay or back at a level, especially if it's like from that where it's only like $79. But yeah, we got into Jim Cole's game. And so Mike's back there in the back. You can't see him or you may not recognize him because he's not on a couch. But that's him in the back.
He's upright.
And then that's our other co-host Bob on the side, and then the dummy in the hat is me. And then that's a rando zombie in the front. So we all kind of posed for this picture, and then he zombified us. And
nice,
very cool, man.
I was like, Jim, how can we get in your game? Like, it doesn't have to be like, like a thing,
obvious,
but like, but like, I would be really fun if we could do that. And he's like, oh, I got you. I'll hook you up. And I was like,
sweet,
sweet. So that's our claim to fame. We
just put this together. Maybe I'm an idiot. Loose board.
Oh yeah,
loose board
game rundown. Board.
That had to have been intentional, and I just realized that.
Come on, Jim ain't no dummy.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So while we're kind of on this, while we're on this positive side of Kickstarter and stuff, is there stuff that has either made you guys want to back a game other than just the game itself, like the stretch goals or the exclusives? Carlos or Rob, would there be something that a campaign could put that might put that hook in you to actually get you to back it, where instead of waiting for retail?
See, I don't have the FOMO. Carlos and I have talked about this for years because we've shared. We differ on many things, but we shared
check his pulse.
Yeah, an opinion about this for a long time, in that we just don't. I don't know if it's the risk factor, even though the risk factor seems to be low, but the exclusives don't normally appeal to me. I mean, I'm a mechanics guy. I'm not so much a theme guy. I'm not so much a getting all the extras and all the specials. You know, if a game is solid, if it plays well, I like to try before I buy. I like to know. I'm frugal, so I like to know I'm going to like something before I take a risk on it. And it just, all along, it's just seemed like it's some amount of risk. I know Wayne keeps reminding Carlos and I that the board game part of it is low risk compared to video games that don't fund, compared to tech projects that don't fund. Board games are way more safe. And we've seen in the comments, people back
was it the full 42, I think it was, said 900 something games and only one not fulfilled?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that over and over, people saying only one. Ever.
I've never had one not fulfill. I've been lucky.
Yeah, I think for you, Rob, it's more about the try before you buy thing. You love to play a game first.
Yeah, I like to know I'm going to like the mechanics. I like to know I'm going to play it over and over again.
That's why I wonder. Like some of the companies are now starting to put up the games on BGA before they go to Kickstarter. Would that potentially entice you?
Or
possibly, maybe. Yeah.
Because if you could hang out in some of these companies' Discords and they schedule Tabletop Simulator, Board Game Arena, Tabletopia, playthroughs. They host big teaches, right? They try to get as many people playing the game. I mean, Galactic Cruise, right? Galactic Cruise was, you couldn't walk through a convention hall without running into the Kinson Key guys, and they're super friendly, super nice. And there's like 4 of them. Mike, I forget, is there 4 or 5? There's more than 3.
There's 3.
It felt like there was more than 3. I felt like I was seeing them all over the place.
And Colton.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you're right. Holy crap. But we saw them so much, and they're just demoing. And so many people, like Galactic Crew, like their marketing strategy was amazing.
It was. And there was so much hype around that game. And I know that they've been pushing that game for a long time.
Yes, they have. Yep. Yes,
I totally believe that fed into how well that game did on Kickstarter.
And I think a lot of those people that backed it had already played it in some form or another.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
And then they got that Ian O'Toole cover art that they're walking around with. And the art wasn't even done for the board or the cards or anything else. They had their prototype at the conventions because we talked to them and hung out with them at Origins and at Gen Con. But they had that big banner with that beautiful Ian O'Toole art and that, mock-up box cover, and that just everybody, right in crunchy Euro, and just it's just really.
I'll answer
really
the question too. I'm echoing what a getaway gamer runs through says here. I wait a year after backers get a Kickstarter to see if it's still around or if it went to clearance, and I pay a premium for that. Right? It's not that I don't buy these Kickstarter games. I think what would stand out for folks who watch my content. What Kickstarter games did I buy after they ended the Kickstarter because I paid a premium for them, and I bought all the extra stuff at a double the price eBay premium because I waited to the after. My Massive Darkness 2nd edition, my zombie side upgrade boxes and expansions, right? All those things that were extra and more expensive afterwards because I really wanted to make sure this game's going to have the longevity. But that just has to do with the fact that I've been playing games since ever. Like, Rob, I think we met in, like 05, 06?
Yeah, something like that.
And I got you into gaming shortly after that.
Yep.
It's like, I have enough games. Wayne says it all the time. I got enough games to keep me busy until, we find some more time to play. I don't need to have it.
Yeah.
Unless the game shows me, hey, I got something different.
I'm
Just
special.
But also, like Carlos said,
something.
I think I'm not trying to throw you on the bus, but I think part of your issue too is you don't want to wait, right? Like if you can't, like, how many times? And I've done it too, so I'm just as guilty on a show where like someone calls in and someone calls in the show and talks about a game they just played, and Carlos and I are on Amazon or on our local game store, like game store's website, like buying it that night because we can go pick it up tomorrow, like.
And you know what it really is?
Backing something now and waiting a year for it, just not you.
But what it really is with my life as it is, 5 kids, full-time job.
Woo.
This is just a hobby.
Right.
I don't have the mental bandwidth to spend on things that aren't here, that are not real and in front of me. I don't want to talk about hypotheticals, what it could be. I don't want to dream about the future. I'm a realist. Like what's in front of me now. I just got to get to tomorrow.
Well, it's that whole fund it and forget it. I mean, we hear lots of our friends say that you got to get into the mentality. You put the money out there. You pay for it now and you forget about it. And when it shows up in a year or 2 years, you're happily surprised. You're like, oh, that game. I forgot I even backed that game.
It's a time travel birthday present. You're like, hooray. I got this wonderful gift from myself in the past.
Exactly.
And to Barry's point, who's our gateway gamer there, and maybe Rob's this way too, because he said he's frugal. Sometimes on those games that you're on the fence about, maybe you do a little bit of research in the Kickstarter and you decide, all right, I'm not interested. As soon as they drop the price to a certain point, I don't really care what I've seen. I'm buying it if it's at a certain price.
Sure.
I was interested at one point to check out the Kickstarter. I know enough about it. Price sometimes will just say, hey, here's a ton of shit on sale. Let's gobble them up.
Yeah, I agree.
And when you have a bunch of games, you can afford the ability to do that too, because you've got other stuff to play.
My shelf of shame is full. I got plenty of stuff I can play.
I could play for years. Yeah,
same.
Exactly.
Well, same. But here's the thing, though, right? So we talk about being frugal, but for example, that Cthulhu, on the Orient Express, game that's coming out right now. It's funding right now.
I think Rado did a video on it recently.
It's $100 if you back it now, right? It's $100, give or take. If you wait till retail, and it's just what Carlos said, you buy at retail, it's going to be closer to $200, right? I think they said retail is like 160, 170.
MSRP is like
and so for me, it's
and then you add inflation between now and there. You're looking at another $300 of investment. Like you buy it now, you're really saving $300.
So
girl math.
That's girl math.
Girl
right?
math.
I got my Kohl's cash.
So I can buy a second board game just for backing that game today.
Yes,
because I saved $300.
I'm printing money.
You see how
here.
that works?
I'm printing money over here. But no, sometimes that is an enticement for me. There have been games where it's like, you know what? If I get it right now, I'm going to get everything for, I'm in like Gloomhaven. It was cheaper to back Gloomhaven than to go buy Gloomhaven. Same thing with Frosthaven. I have both of them. I backed them for that reason. I was able to get the stuff, it was cheaper that way. There was two things that were big selling points on me for this one we're talking about right now is there's not a lot of bloat to it. Like their stretch goal is they're going to throw in the expansion, which just lets you play characters both ways, which doubles the amount of playable characters. Awesome. Right. There's not a ton of other stuff. It's not like the Zombicide. The CMON thing that drives me nuts is like, here's $200 for the all-in pledge. And then here's 15 other add-ons that you can pay $20 to $40 for a piece to add on to that all-in pledge. And I'm like,
Blood
not
Bowl.
all
Man.
in.
I'm not gonna drop an F-bomb, but it's like, no, man, like all in is
Yeah.
all in. Like it either is or it isn't. Yeah, thanks, Chris.
There you go.
He's shaking his tin cup at you.
Please, sir, please.
See, but Tim, there's also the opportunity cost aspect. Listen, money is not infinite. It is finite.
Also,
we only have so much of it. Any money that I put towards a game that I might get in 3 years is money that I can't spend on this beautiful Mansions of Madness expansion, which I ordered so that I can play one scenario out of it, right? Because I want to play the Agatha Christie style murder mystery out of this, right? But had I dropped my spendable money, this may not have made it to this table today. The opportunity cost of investing in the future, which I get it. Listen, this is how rich people get rich: is they invest in the future, they save money over time. It's probably better that way. Yeah. But then I don't get the opportunity to play the things I want to play today.
Yeah. Sure. No, and that's the whole thing, right? It's all these things that enter into our decision-making process, you know, and some of it we see as perks and some of it we see as negatives, right? Like you see it as a negative because you don't want to get that game, you know, you want that game, and I would take it tomorrow too if I could, right? If I back it, like, hey, sweet, your game's in the mail, here you go. I wish it worked that way, but also I've gotten very good at just going, you know what, I got enough other stuff going on. Like when I get that shipping notification, now don't get me wrong, I'm going to be like at the window, you know, waiting for UPS to show up. But from now until then, you know, it's kind of like, I just allow myself to get distracted by other shiny, you know, right in front.
Got a call.
Yep.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from? Listen, y'all. It's not like quite like that. That's not what After Dark means. Okay, get it together.
Hey, well, no, that's
get
only
it together.
that's the third prank call in 4 years.
A couple years, yeah.
Don't
It's
go
gotten
jinxing
better.
us, Wayne.
No, not jinxing.
Yeah. Last time I said that, we hadn't had one in like a year, and I mentioned it, and the next week we had one. So.
Yeah.
But he was a good prank caller.
Yeah,
he was nice. I
there
liked
was
talking
one
to
that was
him.
good because he actually like worked out.
He almost got me to take off my shirt.
Yeah.
I was this close. Like, you're a really nice guy. Like, I'm with this. Let's go.
What was that?
I do it.
It changed slightly from where we started, but
Well, okay. I guess we'll risk it
take
again.
another chance.
Beans and Ice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Yes, hi. My name is James T. Rodding.
Hello, James.
Yes, hi. My name is James T. Rodding. I'm from Massachusetts. I am running I have a class that I run. It's a top and bottom trading class.
I'm kind of curious.
You gotta let it go, huh? All right.
Will I regret this?
You're gonna regret it.
Well, basically, I'm a master top, so I train bottoms.
Mike is
we
a
accept
power
everyone of
bottom.
all ages.
Appreciate your call, brother.
Couch.
And at this point, I begin screening calls.
Yeah, I think so.
So what's going to happen here is if a call does come in, you're going to see me kind of silent away. I have a screening feature on my system, and I will screen calls.
like a
Get
fart
it
in
try
church.
right now.
Yeah.
You know what though? I appreciate the ones that try to like sneak in the joke. You know, instead of just being offensive, right? Like
Straight
anybody
to
can
it.
do
Yeah.
that.
If you're gonna
Anybody
do a
can
prank
that.
call, at least put some work into it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, at least I got a laugh out of the other one. You know,
Yeah.
And I just want to say
about
that's
a game he was designing about where bottoms are fighting the tops for supremacy.
And training some bottoms.
you got to power the bottoms. You know. So that-
And I just want to say we haven't had a prank call in how long? We got two tonight. And who are the guests?
What was the difference? Yeah, what was different about this week?
Right.
Is this the kind of riffraff that you have following you?
it actually is. It actually is.
On an unrelated note, guys, I got to call it a night. I got a phone call to make.
Shoot.
Oh, don't call into this show.
Better call us, bro.
Yeah. Mike, don't get us canceled, dude. Don't get us canceled. Oh boy, were you joking, Mike? Or are you actually?
I was joking. I was
okay.
I was waiting to see. Yeah,
we're all just waiting. Like, okay.
Yeah, I see you.
Hey guys, this is Mark from Indiana.
Mike, you need to call in as Meatwad from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Well, getting back on the crowdfunding thing, let me throw this out there. And again, I'm ignorant of a lot of this crowdfunding stuff, but we've seen just recently a couple of companies swoop in to try to save failed projects. Do we think that's something that's gonna be a thing in the future? Do you see some of these companies trying to come in?
The board game venture capitalists coming in?
I mean, it has happened, right? So there was a Terminator 2 board game and an Evil Dead 2 board game. They were funded, then were not filled. A different company was able to basically buy the game, like the rights to the game and everything. They ran a different Kickstarter. I don't remember what it was, but what they did was, I think it was, if you backed their game and you could prove you pledged to the Evil Dead game, they would produce and send you the Evil Dead game. So the Evil Dead 2 game exists for that reason. Another famous early Kickstarter flop was the Doom that came to Atlantic City. That was a big one. I have that over there, but I bought it on the secondary market for like dirt cheap.
There you go.
But that was another one where another company came in. Basically, it was like so many people put, an angel investor. I don't know what you would want to call them. I mean, it seems like if somebody can find a way to make money off of what has happened with Mythic Games, I mean, if you were able to get the rights, or hold of all those IPs.
Simon picked that up. I mean, so previously when Mythic Games was selling off their IPs.
Oh, right.
I think Simon, and don't quote me on this, I think they picked up either one or more at that time. But this last failed Kickstarter that they had, I think Simon is the one that's going to kind of take the torch and run with it. Although they have changed. My understanding is they liked the game, but they changed a lot to it.
Oh,
so
sure.
I thought they said they're almost redesigning the whole game. Like,
they were starting from scratch or something. Yeah,
they probably fit their brand. I mean, that's the other thing too, right?
Yep.
It's and it's something I don't always consider just as like a consumer, but like, game companies. And I learned this when you talk to designers and stuff, and they're talking about pitching games, and it's like, these games are all awesome. Why isn't anybody signing them? And it's like, well, it's not that company's brand. It doesn't fit their footprint. Oh, see, there we go. Mr. Jeeves, right on, man. So I want to know from him, did he get his copy through the other Kickstarter? Or did he never get one? I'm just curious how that worked. But yeah, so it would make sense if a different company acquires basically the bones of that game and then goes, it's not our style. And maybe it was a bad game, or maybe they're going to turn it into a bad game. You never know, right? Like all kinds of things can happen through development.
Right. I think Mythic Games has a history of doing.
Thanks, Mike.
What's the right word I'm looking for? Oh yeah. Mythic Games has a history of doing like these convoluted games. Not that they aren't good, but they tend to have like this overbearing rules, very minute details that you gotta get right.
So like, they're over loyal to the theme or whatever, so they sacrifice gameplay.
Yeah. So I mean, I could totally see Simon pretty much rewriting everything and just using the IP
because Steamforge does the same thing, right? Steamforge, it's got their hands on great IPs, but their rule sets sometimes, man, you're like, really? Like, I guess thematically I understand how it makes sense, but wow, that's a lot of work to get there.
Yeah. But it's not like Simon hasn't done this before. I mean, when Eric Lang left, they had to take over True Bang, right? Yeah. And like redo the whole thing. So this is not uncharted territory for them. Right. A little different because I was an internal employee. Like, Eric, what you were doing with this? No, Eric being an internal employee of Simon, Eric Lang, and then they picked it back up, and I guess they weren't happy with where it was headed and completely revamped it. I don't even know if it even ever came back out.
No, they haven't released the second wave yet because they're going to redo the entire thing.
Yeah.
So I haven't backed a Simon game since Eric Lang left because I backed Ankh, Blood Rage, and Rising Sun. Love all of them. Ankh's one of my all-time favorites. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
I got to think that the Kickstarters that fail, unless really the only time a company is going to come in and save it is if it has an IP that they want, right? Because and that's why I'm even surprised that Simon's rescued the most recent game from Mythic, because it's not. It's a generic fantasy.
It's not an
game.
IP. It's like they
it's not
came
even
up with
an
it.
IP. It's it's like they're but unless they think that they can take that and make it a world that they can then have 3 or 4 more games.
They might want the bones to that game. They might be buying that design, right? And then they're going to skin it, the way they want.
Yeah.
So, but I think that'll be few and far between. I think it'll be those big ones that can because it's publicity too. It gives goodwill to the gaming community.
What a lot of people were saying is that maybe they were just doing this as a gesture for some positive press, some goodwill. Although we saw kind of it backfired. We talked about this on the show that a lot of people were upset who had backed the game, and it kind of blew me away that now you're going to get something when you weren't going to get anything at all. But I guess there was a lot of people on the forums and stuff saying, I don't want a zombie side version of the game that I was.
Right, it's a different game at this point.
Right.
And Simon's like, oh, okay, well, scratch him off the list.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, So I don't quite get that speaking out publicly when it was going to fall flat, you were going to get absolutely nothing for your money, and then now you're going to get some kind of product. It may not be what you thought you were getting that you went in on originally, but.
Yeah, I think they still have to pay into it though. Like only the one, from what I understand, is only the ones that did the all-in are actually getting credit towards the remake.
Right.
Everybody else, you're SOL at that point.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like half of the people are fine, the other half aren't. Yeah.
Right.
But Rob, I'll say this though, as look at the comment sections in Kickstarters can either be extremely positive,
sure,
or it can turn nasty right away.
Their Twitter feeds, their Reddit threads,
all
they
over
get
the place.
really,
It can be, yeah.
They get wild.
You know what's ridiculous is sometimes that's simply a result of an update being late, which is just really crazy to me.
Yeah.
You see complete vitriol because somebody hasn't made a comment in a while, and that bothers me.
Yeah.
We got to clear this up here. There's an allegation of a onesie, of Mike on a couch with a onesie. I'm hearing the weather's 47 degrees, so this is very apropos for this weather. Mike, do you confirm or deny the usage of a onesie?
No, I do not use a onesie.
Is it a Cub
but
Snuggie?
I do sit on a couch with a laptop next to me on occasion, and there's a blanket on my lap. So
He calls it a blanket. Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
It's only a onesie if you're wearing it. If it's draped over you,
Yeah.
Oh, it's different.
47 degrees, we'd be in Parkers and
Oh wow, yeah, we'd be in
lamps
shock
and-
here in Tampa.
it's 39 currely. We have snow flurries today.
We're
at least-
nice.
Yeah.
So
It was 82 and sunny today.
yeah.
Yeah, hate you.
Yeah, I had to go shovel that 9 inches of sunshine. It was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but how humid was it? How humid was
It
it?
actually went back and poured yesterday, so it was actually very cool.
And you probably got rained on 3 times while you were doing it, like for 30 seconds at a time.
Not lying.
Chasing alligators off.
I've been to Disney. I know how it works.
I don't hate you guys in July at all, though. We're all
Yeah, July and
Oh
August.
yeah.
That's
Nothing.
Africa hot
You just
July.
You just stay inside.
This is why we do board games and not,
Yeah, no
not,
doubt.
not outside stuff.
It's the same thing, just different reasons, right? It's
Exactly,
The same,
yeah.
it's different
times
weather,
of the year. Yeah.
but same thing. Oh, 8
Well,
feet of snow. Guess I'm staying inside.
We're coming to the end of the show. We don't do 4 hours like y'all.
We do 2 hours.
Well,
Cap
you
it
know.
to
We
2
got to
hours.
work in the morning.
I mean,
We
you
do
know.
about a 2-hour show. So for
Oh,
for
yeah.
the BGR folks, sorry to disappoint. I know this is probably about halfway of what you're used to.
Just warming up.
And this is the part where we get a chance to kind of close out, talk anything geeky goodness other than board game that we've been up to, anything we want to share with the folks at home, and we'll just go round robin. Anything geeky, different or geeky that y'all been up to that want to share in the geek realm.
It's Geek Realm. I just binge watched an entire season on Netflix, so I got a proper show. It's called Bodies. Mike, did you tell me about that?
Oh,
one?
yeah.
Mike told us
I
about
was
it.
the one that was
Yeah.
telling you about that.
Is this the one with the different timelines?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
3 different timelines, the dead
Yeah.
body in each of the 3 different timelines. I watched the entire series in like a day. So
So
What'd you
thumbs
think?
up.
it was good. 10 episodes, great. It was good. Perfect. 1 season done. It's one and done. So it was really good.
They kind of
Uh-oh.
left it open at the end.
They did kind of leave it open, but they've said no, it's closed. They're done.
Okay. All right.
But it's
Well,
good.
that's
Yeah,
good.
really good. Yeah, I finally got that binged while I worked last day.
Robert, you got to go see Dune this week.
I did. I took the oldest two kids to go see Dune, and
Nice.
definitely all thumbs up. I know Carlos came out of it with an instant 10 out of 10. I'm not going to say 10 out of 10. I'm going to say 8.5, maybe 9 out of 10. It was.
You got to
really
commit,
good.
Robert. You can't sit on the fence.
Can't go.
Got to commit.
I got to see it in the IMAX, so I got to feel it as I was watching it. So that's always that's
Nice.
Kind of light. Was it kind of light for you?
Yeah.
Too light.
2 out of 10.
Maybe 3 out of 10. Yeah, that's my thing. But no, it was definitely. I would definitely encourage you to see it, and of course you got to see it in the theater. Carlos drugged me to the first one to go see that in the theater, and I'm glad I did.
I like how he says drug. I set up a game day at the local hobby shop. We had Dune board games. Bunch of people showed up.
And then we went and saw.
Then we all went and saw Dune after.
At midnight, after a whole day of gaming, we both fell asleep during the movie at different points.
I do believe that was true.
So, it was a rough watch of that one, but yeah, it's definitely one you got to go see at the theater. It's a one of those.
Did it make you want to play Dune?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. As soon as I got done, I was telling the kids, "We got to pull out Dune. We got to play." Dune's always been one of my favorites, but yeah, definitely.
Now you have to specify which Dune, because there's the people that like
yeah.
the old Dune from the 70s, and then there's
no. Yeah, I've never played that one, so I need to get that experience in, because that is an
think you do.
experience.
I've been looking at buying it because it's not that expensive.
Well, no, when they got the new one, the War for Arrakis, is that what it's
Oh
called?
yes,
Yeah. It's they're calling it War of the Ring, kind of a reskin version of it. So yeah, I definitely want to try that as well. But yeah, I thought you
that's Simon, I think, right?
I
I
believe
that's Simon.
No, is that? I thought it was Gale Force 9 that did the
new one.
No, Gale Force 9 has a Dune IP coming out. They also have the reprint of the old one from the
original
70s.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I could be wrong.
Yeah, I forget who that new one is. Yeah.
If we were going for 4 hours, I'd have got it.
No,
like
it's
3.5 hours.
Simon Global.
Oh, see, what happens is I say the show ends in 2 hours, but then we banter for 30 minutes about geeky stuff.
Yeah.
So
It's a Midwestern goodbye. I get it.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
But then we talk on the way out, then we have some more pizza, and then we talk in the car outside.
Yeah.
So yeah, War for Arrakis is Simon.
It is Simon.
Okay.
Okay.
Well
There you go.
done.
All right.
Now, you keep hating on it, Wayne.
Yeah. And then we
I
talked
don't
last week.
hate on Simon. I just haven't backed one of their projects.
Because last week we got to play the Dune Imperium Uprising.
No, Dune dash Imperium semicolon Uprising.
Whatever the heck it is. So yeah, we compared that to the Dune Imperium versus Dune Imperium Uprising. Everybody loves Dune Imperium Uprising better. I'm not sold yet. I've played Uprising twice, and I played the original 10 times probably, and I still like the original. But anyway, that's a different story. Yeah.
They're both good.
Yeah.
I like the explosiveness of the new version.
We did something wrong.
Whoa, what? I read the rules so many times.
When you win a battle with a worm in the battle, you double all the results.
I would have won the damn game. I am the winner. Go open up your BG Stats app, edit it.
There were two battles with worms. You won one, and I won one.
Oh, did y'all split them? All right. Well, either way, but yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
that is huge.
Saw that on a replay, and I was like, "Oh, how did we miss that?" So, anyway.
But I'm playing regular Dune on the app, right? And like turn 1, battle 1, there's a victory point, and that's like, oh, already like I've got to put in forces now, like so early to commit forces. It's gonna just like deplete me for the next 2 battles because I'm gonna fight for this. What I liked about the new Dune is the combats don't start giving you points until towards the end. Like the victory points really don't. So like you're really kind of building forces for battle. It's very interesting. Very recommended.
And my other quick geeky goodness is Star Trek Discoveries season 4, the 4th and final season. Get ready to start on that. I'm looking forward to that. I'm a big Trek fan. So
I just finished the Strange New Worlds, the last episode.
Yep.
It left on a great note.
That was so good, wasn't it?
I was so mad.
It was good.
Because like cliffhanger Friday, I'm like no.
Yep.
So can't recommend it more.
Yeah. All things Star Trek, I'm all over it. So, but yep, looking forward to that coming out. I'll be binge watching that probably the next few weeks. But how about you, Mike?
Mike's plural.
One Mike.
Whoever's first.
Any geeky goodness?
Yeah, I'll go first. I got a few things actually. So I don't know if you guys have ever read the 3 Body Problem series, the book series.
I want to watch that show.
Yeah.
From the couch you hear, I want to watch that show.
So I listened to the first book. It was a little hard to get through, and I think a lot of it has to do with because it's been translated. Because I think it was originally in Chinese and it got translated to English. It's very wordy. I don't care for wordy books. I'd rather you be able to describe things in a concise manner. I got through the first book, but anyway, I'm on like episode 4. I think it's good. I think they are doing a good job with it for how much they had to take out of the book, because there's just no way you're going to cover everything.
Yeah.
But the one thing I wanted to mention, I don't know if you guys saw this, the guy that I think it was the guy that wrote the book, he got arrested for poisoning and killing somebody on the set.
Wow.
What?
Like putting poison in their drinks and food, and multiple people got like extremely ill, and somebody died from it.
Well, now it's
There's an article out there. I got to find it. I'll post it in the Discord.
problem.
Yeah, it's the fourth body problem. I just like, it totally blew my mind. Anyway,
That's crazy.
That's true, man.
and I'll find it and I'll post it in the Discord. But anyway, non-geeky goodness, but board game related. And this kind of goes along with the topic that we were talking about, with Kickstarters and some of them taking longer than what they should have. This is the bad side of it, but it ended up being a good thing. Seventh Citadel, which was supposed to deliver, I think, 2 years ago, maybe, finally delivered recently. It was I used to live in Florida 3 years ago, almost now. It was the last game that I backed in Florida, and I just got it like a week ago. I have Seventh Continent. I played it. I've played be honest, I played the opening scenario a few times, died every single time. It was like a 3 to 5 hour, episode, and I just died. I even tried cheating once, and then I died again in the same thing. And I've never really gone. Yeah, I did deserve it. I've never gone back to it, but I've heard that the opening one that they tell you to start with is the hardest one, because they want to introduce all the mechanics or the mechanisms in the game. I haven't gone back to it, but anyway, Seven Citadel came in, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to set it up. I'm going to play it and see how it goes, because I've been waiting so long for this game. This game is so good, and I pray that the rest of the game is exactly like the opening scenario that occurred, because this is an ongoing story. It's not like Seven Continent, where you would just like pick a curse or multiple curses, and once you beat the curse, the game is over. Like you beat the game or the game beats you. It's an ongoing thing, and it was just doing things that I just didn't think were possible with a card game, that you're creating the map as you're going along. And I'm not giving anything away, because this is the very first scenario. You're basically, the story is this land that you're living in, there's these worms that are destroying the earth, and then these plants were created to fight against them, but then everything kind of like comes crashing down. So you're literally a gardener, almost like a prisoner in this citadel. And the opening thing is like everything's starting to fall apart around you, so you have to get out of this citadel. Well, obviously, if you make it out, then the game continues. If you don't, then you got to start over from that one point. But once you make it out, there's this whole paper where you're literally creating buildings that are going to give you benefits. You're working on this huge, it starts from like the middle, but it's like this gigantic circle of like a tech tree of like where you're gaining things, you're gaining cards that'll give you special abilities. But then there's this whole map with kind of like the, where it's got like plastic, clear plastic where you can like slide cards into it. That is 100% separate from the map that you're making with your own cards. It's almost like a very far out view of like the whole land. And as you're playing this game, it may reference something like you go out, you learn things, or you're sending people out, they come back to the Citadel, and then you're learning these new things, which opens up this other map. And then as you're playing the game, you can go to like specific locations on this giant map, and it's like this zoomed in version.
Love it.
Man, this sounds awesome.
It sounds cool.
I had such low expectations, because I'm thinking, oh man, this game's took over 3 years to deliver, and this style of game, everybody's been doing it. Now it's kind of played out a little bit. And I wasn't crazy about, Seventh Continent, even though I like these. I love exploration type games. But man, I finished the first part of this game and I'm like, I was like that, that giddy feeling you get when you're just like, there's something special here. And I can't quite put my finger on it, but I know something is special with this game. That's the feeling I got when I finished this game. And it's like, anytime I ever play a game, I'll pack it up. For the most part, I pack it up, put it away, and I'm like, I'll get back to it whenever I can. This is still set up on the kitchen table.
Oh,
like,
right.
I'm sure my wife is pissed off at this point. Like, you got to get this crap off the table. But it's set up still on the table because I'm so looking forward to playing the next round of this. I just haven't had time, but I'm so looking forward to playing the next round of this game and seeing where it goes.
What's the level of complexity? How hard is it to get into?
It's way easier to get into than what Seventh Continent was. With Seventh Continent, like when you play with multiple people, you had like an action deck, which is basically your hourglass, your sand timer.
Yeah.
This one, everybody has their own deck that they play with. So everybody starts with the same number of cards, and it's just instead of with Seven Continent, when you went through the whole deck, you would shuffle it back up, and the next time you went through it, you were dead. Like that was the end of the game. This, you actually have health points, and you can what they call recover at any time that you want to, and then from your discard, because you're playing your cards and you're discarding. Every 2 cards, the normal way to play is every 2 cards you take out of your discard to put back into your deck, you lose 1 health point. So you have the choice of, unless your deck runs out, of course, you have the choice of, man, I played a bunch of really good cards that I know could help me out in this section coming up. I'm going to recover, and you randomly are taking cards out of your discard pile and shuffling them back into your main deck. It just makes it so much easier. And it gives, even though it adds a layer of complexity of like, when do I want to recover? And I don't want to use too many of my health points. It just makes so much more sense instead of going through this deck. And then like, you just know you're going to be dead in like 3 cards. And you're like, well, I might as well quit the game if you're playing Seven Continent, where it adds that extra layer of, I really need those cards back in my deck to hopefully draw them on this next one. The other thing that makes it a lot easier that I love is an original Seven Continent. Whenever you had like a weapon or something, you were putting a die with like whatever the pip number was. And every time you used it, that pip number would drop down 1. Whereas this, most of them, or the ones that I've come across, like a weapon, if you choose to use the weapon, which will help you out, you basically take a D6, which they include in the game. You roll a D6 and the card says something like, if you roll a 1 or a 2, discard the card. So you could go the whole game and never roll that 1 and 2, and that weapon is still good. So that also makes it's less upkeep of trying to remember, oh yeah, I got to drop this 1 pip. It just tells you roll a die, and if it's a 1 or 2, discard it. That's it. But oh my God, I'm so happy that I backed this game and gave it a try as soon as it came in, because a lot of these games, I mean, I've got ISS Vanguard sitting behind me that's still in shrink. And I probably will never get to it. It's just my mentality sometimes. But anyway, I kind of went on a rant there, but I'm so happy that I broke this game out and actually tried it. So anyway, those
are
the
my pictures you
things.
posted in our Discord.
Yeah.
I looked at those spoiler pictures.
Spoiler, yeah.
Thank you for the spoiler warnings.
Yeah. So I have, if you like those types of exploration games, and there's a whole, this is the other thing that they added, because I love this War of Mine. That's one of my favorite games.
Oh man, that's a tough one. Oof.
I've never beat it, but I will play it anytime because I absolutely love that game.
Many times. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's got that book of scripts, like where it tells you to turn to this page. They've added that to this game with choices in it. So it'll say like, okay, well, and that's what happened. Like at the end of this one, it said, okay, if you have this with you, turn to this page and read it. And it'll give you a benefit sometimes. And if you don't have it, it'll say, if you don't, no problem. Or if you don't, go and read this. So it literally changes up the whole story as you go along. and how it progresses going forward. So anyway, that was my my rant.
Dude, that sounds fantastic.
I highly recommend
You got
it.
me excited.
Highly
Yeah.
recommend it.
Other
Yeah.
Mike, any other geeky goodness, gaming adjacent, or even just whatever nerdy hobby you're into?
Oh man. So a little earlier, actually, I referenced the Tennessee Volunteers, and one of you said too soon. Who was that? Was that Carlos?
That was Rob. No,
Rob,
Carlos isn't a basketball fan, but yeah.
No, Rob is. Who's your team, Rob?
Oh, my team stinks. I've got two. I was born in Oklahoma, so OU was just the local team there, and then my college was George Mason, which is a little school, but we made a Final Four run about 15 years ago,
Yeah, he did
which was
make
nice.
a run.
Yeah, so that was
that.
fun. But yeah, my teams were out of it early this year, so
Yeah, you fill out brackets too?
I do, of course. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things I geek out on. I absolutely love college basketball season. So I'm going to take this in a different direction for a second. If you
Sure.
guys
That's
don't
what this
mind.
whole segment's about.
He's nerdy about it, so it counts.
Guys, when you're 6'3" and you grow up in the state of Indiana in the
Yep.
90s,
Yep.
Ball is life, gentlemen.
Yeah.
The state of Indiana has 8 of 10 of the largest high school basketball arenas in the country.
Sure.
That is how big Indiana basketball is. And when you go to Purdue University and you see your alma mater get an opportunity to go to the Final Four for the first time since 1980, and you find out that game is in Detroit, 3 hours from where you live, you go to that game.
You do.
You go watch Zach Edey destroy Tennessee to the count of 40 points and 16 rebounds. You watch them dismantle those Volunteers 72
Told you
to
he's a nerd about it.
66. And you watch
It's all good. It's all good.
and you watch your two-time, I said soon to be two-time Naismith National Player of the Year, Zach Edey, the 7'4" Big Maple, born in Toronto, that nobody recruited. He was the 434th ranked player in his class when he was recruited. But the Purdue Boilermaker coach, Matt Painter, big man I might add, they are known for bringing in these 7-footers. He said, I see something in this kid. And 4 years later, he turned that kid into the most dominant big man in the country. And I had tears in my eyes watching that kid put the team on his back and cut that net down without the use of a ladder, and then hand that net over to Gene Cady, the retired coach that set the culture that Matt Painter has been created, that got this program to this point, to this day. I am absolutely beside myself to see them in the Final Four this Saturday against North Carolina State, the Cinderella in this tournament, who is the only double-digit seed as the 11 still alive.
Yep.
We're a 9.5-point favorite. I honestly think we will destroy them by 14 or 15 because they don't have anybody that can guard Zach Edey, the about to be two-time National Player of the Year. And so when they win that game against the underdog NC State, I assume they will be playing UConn, who should beat Bama. If they don't, we already beat Bama earlier this year. Not concerned, but UConn, Purdue, definitely a matchup of the Titans, the two best teams in the country currently. And I absolutely geek out on this time of year. March Madness is my thing. I have been to Vegas and I've bet on games the opening weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then been too tired to do it on Sunday and flew back. I love it, guys. I love it. Thank you for letting me get that out of there.
So you're not going to love it, but I had Purdue making it to the Final Four. I had them losing in the Final Four, so in my big bracket. So we'll see what happens.
I'm not mad at you. Did you pick them to lose to Houston?
I did. Yep, I had Houston
That was
going.
the matchup I was most worried about, actually, because of Shed, the Big 12 Player of the Year, who gets hurt in the first 2 minutes against Duke, and
that was rough.
That's real rough. As soon as they went down, and I saw NC State coming out of that side, I said, "This might be our year. This might just be our year."
Party time.
So I appreciate it, guys.
That was
I see a sports call-in show in the future for these two. Like a whole
Guys,
new channel.
We'll talk later.
We can talk real. I'll take another 10 seconds real quick. I've been into fantasy sports. I am the commissioner of a baseball league, which is the biggest grind you can think of.
Done it. Yeah, done
as
it.
far as fantasy sports, I am the commissioner of a league that's been running for 25 years now.
Damn.
We
Nice.
actually had lawyers draft a constitution for our league, and we
Nice.
must vote on changes.
nice.
Very nice.
So I don't know how much longer I can do it because of that grind.
It's a grind, man.
But it's been a nice run. It's been a nice run, but I love geeking out on the stats of the game and the competitive spirit that drives those games.
Love it.
That's why we're here. Like I find there's such a crossover. I mean, there's a reason these baseball or these beans and dice unis look like baseball jerseys. Like there's a crossover
want one,
between
man.
sports.
I want
those are
one.
Tight. Those are nice. Those are real nice.
Beans and rice.
Yep. That was it.
Holy crap! Look at that, Mike Rice, beans and rice. That's the name of the call-in show.
Only took Carlos 2.5 hours to figure that out.
All downhill from here, guys. I better get out of here.
He's white and salty.
How about you, Tim? What's going on in the geeky world?
Well, let me just say, my wife is a Purdue grad. My in-laws are Purdue grads. Actually, my in-laws flew to Arizona.
She's a lovely
today.
woman.
My in-laws flew to Arizona today to go to the game on Saturday, and they will stay if Purdue wins and go to the championship game on Monday.
Wow, nice.
Because they're that
Bunch
diehard.
doing it.
And they didn't take Mike with them. What's going on with that?
If you
I
knew
wish,
Mike
man.
like they knew Mike, you know.
If I wasn't
we
going to
get
so
enough.
many cons, I would have planned for it.
Football is my passion again. Like, so
There you go.
I'm not tall enough to be good at basketball. I'm fast and squirrely, and I can throw some elbows. But like that, though, I think NC State is going to put if Purdue doesn't get the fouls called, because NC State's physical, man. They're going to beat the hell out of your guys. So we'll see what happens. But I for my own household's sake, I need Purdue to win. So then that will carry us to football season when Notre Dame takes over, and then I'll be good.
Use that goodwill, that equity, and that goodwill.
He wants his in-laws to be out of town for a longer period of time, so he needs Purdue to keep winning. Is that
Also true. That's fine. That's fine. But no, I actually, talking about geeky stuff, I just went back and rewatched Firefly.
Oh, yes.
Man.
Wonderful.
I have not watched Firefly in probably 10 years. Just because it's like, oh, you get watching other things, blah, 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 Mandalorian, things like that come out, getting ready for that stuff. And I just got the Gale Force 9 Firefly game, Misbehaving. Haven't played it yet, but it's a deck building asymmetric faction game. And I was like flipping through the cards, and I'm looking, and it's like, man, I really want to watch the show. And it's only one season. So I got on Disney Plus, watched the whole dang thing in like 2 days. And I'm just like, it made me sad all over again that it only got one season, because it's just one of the best.
I watched it I watched the whole thing within the last year.
I watched it last year. Yeah.
And they just announced the new anniversary board game, right?
Yeah.
The Firefly board game, a new anniversary edition.
Tim, have you ever seen the documentary on the making of the movie? Like how the fans got, so there's a documentary about the fan outcry about them being canceled, and the fan outcry was so big that they got the green light to do the movie. Yeah. In the movie, you can actually see my wife. She's running a Firefly RPG game. I'm off camera, obviously, but she's on camera, and we're playing an RPG game with Tracy Hickman from Dragonlance.
I know who Tracy Hickman
is.
Yeah.
So we were playing it. So we're in that documentary. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's kind
of all right.
Hence why my kid's name is Malcolm. So
I got to find that doc. Cause
he named his kid Malcolm.
I didn't name my kid Malcolm. My wife did.
My daughter's named Mallory, and I call her Mal.
There you go.
I was like, it's a good name. What's funny though is that I knew nothing about Firefly when Serenity came out. I got a buddy, me and him. We read Dune. We knew the David Lynch Dune movie. We were like the sci-fi nerds. I can't remember if he had actually watched the show or not, but we were like, oh, this sci-fi movie is out in theaters. Let's go watch it. So I went and saw Serenity, and then was like, wait, this was a TV show. And then went and discovered the TV show. Of course, having everything that is resolved in Serenity didn't matter. It didn't color my experience at all. Like, I was just so happy to have 12 more hours of this.
More Firefly.
Yeah, more Firefly. But anyways, it just reignited my passion for that show and just how much I appreciated it and how funny and witty. And I love shows I love Trek, but I also love Deadwood, and it's kind of like a wonderful
Western, space Western.
Yeah, space Western.
They just freaking nailed it, man.
6 shooters and all, man.
It's so damn good. It's so damn good.
Cattle rustling.
Yeah.
Literally, right?
Yeah,
And then
right there on the
train
planet.
robbery. But yeah, man, Firefly. Just love Firefly. It was awesome. Got to revisit it, get back in that world a little bit. And it's good stuff, man.
All right, Wayne, close us out.
I went already. I'm good.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
we
we're
went through us first.
That's how memorable it was for Carlos. Everything.
Yeah, it's all right.
Just repeat it. Just remind him what you said.
I finished up Star Trek, the Strange New Worlds.
Yep.
And I've just been locked into.
You loved the musical one, I heard.
Oh my god, that was horrible. Yeah. That was the worst episode ever.
Oh, come on.
That was a grind to get through.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's a grind.
It was a musical episode.
Yeah. I know it's coming.
It's not as bad as the ear piercing episode. There's an episode where there's everybody's got this ring in their ear.
Oh yeah.
And I'll be watching in the bedroom. My wife's in the living room, way away, and she's like, "What is that noise? What is that godforsaken noise?" And it's just like this ringing noise. But Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I love
Holy
that show.
crap, bro!
My God.
Wife and I are watching 6 episodes a night.
Cool.
I'm so sad to find out that the captain had passed away this past year he passed away.
Yeah.
He is legit the funniest.
Oh, he's
one of the funniest characters on that show. He's so straight. Him and Rosa. I don't know. It's just
they're so good.
That's my recommendation. I'm still deep into Dune, the audiobook, but I have now gone 1.5. I'm okay, I got to get this over with.
Got to get it done with. 800 some pages.
I started at 1.0 speed, then I hit that 1.2. Now I'm at 1.5.
It's a little dry, pun intended.
Yes,
but it's good, man.
Desert. I see what you did there.
Yeah. But the Benny Gesserit machination stuff is so good, man. It when it starts getting to some of those extra levels, it's awesome. Yeah. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Well, at least hopefully.
Trying to get into that Dune lore. Gotta get my money's worth out of this Dune board game.
This Duneverse.
We're gonna get one Mike to read the book now. Start with the appendices, Mike, though.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, just. Yeah, I'd like to understand because my friends invite, just so you guys know, a friend of mine that I've met here, he's the one that introduces me to all these Japanese trick takers, but his favorite game is the original Dune, the 79 Dune. He even before they even did a print of it, he sent the files out to be printed and has these special, he's a nut for it. And he invited me to play one time. And then he invited me again. He's like, "So what do you think?" And I was like, "Man, this is actually a really good game." He's like, "Finally, I got that 6th person,
nice.
hooked, that can play this game now." But I really want to learn the lore now, so I understand the actual characters and the asymmetrical abilities and the reasoning behind them. And so that alone, I mean, the movies, of course, as well, but the game really wants me. That's what's pushing me to want to learn the lore.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Make that 2 Mikes that also loves the Dune games, but hasn't been able to explore the lore. Because the approach to getting into it is a bit rough, and the first movie didn't help because of how slow it is. So unfortunately, coming in new, lost interest. But I want to learn more about it because I love Imperium. Got all those expansions. I haven't experienced Uprising yet, but we're going to be playing the Gale Force 9 version. We're scheduling a game for next weekend.
Nice.
And hoping to put out a review and capitalize on maybe some of that movie hype.
For sure.
But pretty excited about that. So,
yeah. Awesome.
I'm sure one Mike would want to hear the report on that.
Yeah, we'll be paying attention.
Because that's the new version of the 80s version.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, that gets us past the 11 o'clock hour, just like we promised. You get at least 2 hours of content here. We've had a great time. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Mike Rice, for joining us.
Blast, guys. Yeah,
Thank you to the
Thanks
BGR
so much,
crew. who have jumped into the chat, really blew up the chat, and somehow blew up my phone line. I don't know what people you
Not
got.
to beat your prank callers,
Had to
though,
shut that thing
man.
down.
What's up with that?
And to all y'all folks at home, we are the Beans and Dice Podcast. I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
I'm Mike.
I'm Wayne.
And
I'm
then with
Tim.
the board game rundown,
Yeah, I'm Tim.
I'm Mike.
That way.
thanks for watching, y'all. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Beans and Dice podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Oiler